That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it.
What are we really doing? Yeah, I can agree with that. The zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant
has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
welcome to the Straight Red Card. I might have to take Leonardo DiCaprio off of that intro if all this Epstein listing keeps going in the direction it's going. But we'll wait and see. We don't have all the facts. His name just came up. But it was one of those things like one of the victims was asking Epstein who he was on the phone with. And he'd say, oh, that was just Leo. You know, it's Leo DiCaprio. It's not a big deal. Or, you know, he'd often brag. He'd often brag who he had on the phone, right? Whether that was really true or not, I don't know. No one really knows. But I guess phone records could figure that out, right? Anyhow, welcome to the Straight Red Card. Thanks for joining us on the night of the National Collegiate Football Championships, which you could mute now and just listen to our show. And you could have it on, like, you know, still have it up there.
We're actually synced up nicely with it, too.
I've got it. You know, I've got it up. So I want to make sure Michigan wins tonight. Also, you remember we were having that discussion about that weird porn with the mom and the daughter brings her boyfriend over and how weird that is?
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird porn. I mean, who fantasizes about that weird shit? I guess moms? I don't know. But not me. And the other kind of weird ass porn is the two best friends go camping with their daughters and then they exchange daughters. What the hell is that? What? Who thought of that? Like, that's gross. Hey man, high five. Let's flip flop tonight. Yeah, I'll do your daughter. You do mine. Cool. Yeah. What a great idea. Man, that's weird shit. Who thinks of these things?
Can't say I've ever actually seen that.
Oh, it's out there.
Daughters.
It's out there. It pops up on the old X-Hamster feed on occasion. And I'm like, what? What is this? And it's not because of anything I put in the search. It's just one of those things that comes up like new videos. And you're like, wow, that's bullshit. Speaking of which, you know, we were talking some time ago and I said, yeah, I don't really need to have any relations with women anymore. I'm kind of past that time of my life. And, you know, I finally ran into somebody else who feels almost exactly the same way I do. And that was Norm Macdonald when he was alive. I never knew that about him, but he's like, yeah, you know, I had a lot of sex. It's all the same thing. When you've done it 1,000 times, I mean, it's, you know, what are you going to do new, right? You know, it's the same cracker every night. And even if you're trying different crackers, the event is generally going to pan out the same way. So you tried the Ritzes, you ate all the Ritzes for a while, and then you went on to...
He needs to branch away from white chicks.
And then, you know, you have the fancier crackers, and then you have the ones with the sesame seeds on it. That gets boring after a while. You know, there's only so many crackers you can have. But, you know, the only thing I disagree with Norm on is he said it's a shameful act. And that sounds kind of religious based. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like shameful about it. So, yeah, I mean, people get there. You can get there. I mean, if you're 50 years old and you had your great time, had a great run, not complaining. But, you know, there's a time to say, it's not really, I guess I'm at this point in my life, Brett, I'm just too, I don't want to have to make somebody else happy. Just me. All I care about right now is just me. I spent my whole life raising kids and, you know, paying bills
porn, right?
And mortgages and exactly. So now if I want to entertain myself, I just entertain myself. I don't need to entertain others. I'm not a fucking clown for other people. I do this show because I love it. I'm sure people think we're clowns. That's fine. Anyhow, that was really interesting. So go check that out. Interesting stuff. Interviews with Norm Macdonald about, I'm not interested in having sex with a real woman or whatever is what his point was. He said, I need to do something. I just do it. I take care of it myself. And then they would ask him shit like, well, what do you fantasize about then? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you that. That's none of your fucking business. And he said, you really don't need to fantasize. Have you been on the internet lately? He's got a point.
I was going to say that seems more along that's none of your business. Doesn't sound like something Norm would say.
I don't think he did.
He'd have some kind of story lined up about 3 goats and a clown car in Wichita or something like that.
You would think he would. He did. Actually, you're right. I don't think he said it's none of your business. That's something I would say. And really, with the advent of the age, unless you live on island in New Guinea with no fucking, access to the internet, who the hell is closing their eyes late at night and trying to imagine something? You don't need to imagine anything.
The Amish.
That's really big in Pennsylvania, I hear. Or Mormons, if you live in Utah, apparently. All right, that's all I had, really. I mean, that's just something I saw yesterday. Norm Macdonald, thought I'd bring it up because I love Norm Macdonald. I think he's a great comedian, or was. R.I.P. All right. That is only 7 minutes in. And, by the way, you asked me the other show about Jaboli Eraribi. Remember? Because he used to play for Ankaragachu, and you said that's not a real club.
I'm kind of surprised. Did you have to go back to the tapes because you had to remember what the fake name for the fake club that you mentioned was?
Yeah, I did. I had to go look up this fake club I made up with this fake American player. Anyhow, the guy's real name is Jaboli Eraribi. And you know what? He doesn't play in Turkish First Division anymore, which is odd since he was a starter for quite a bit for Ankaragachu. And now he's at a club called Kisior and Gucu. That's a real club. And it's down in Division 2. And he has 16 games with 2 goals.
Division 2 where?
Turkey.
So that's Turkish for kiss my gooch, is what you're saying?
Well, Gucu actually in Turkish, I looked this up, means strength. So Ankara, for instance, Ankara is a city in Turkey. That's where he played, Ankara. But all the teams put little endings on. So Ankara added Gucu, which means strength. Ankara strength. So it's Ankara Gucu.
So kind of like San Jose Earthquakes.
No, not at all.
Why not?
That's a team
thrown in after the city name.
Yeah, but that's a natural disaster. That's not strength. That's like, we're really proud of our earthquakes that we have around here. Really? They kill people. Is that what you're going to name your team? It seems it's a stupid
And we
name for
thrive, Derek, and we thrive.
And then they call themselves the Quakes anyhow, so it gets shortened. But at least, what was the Kansas City were the Wizards? At least that makes sense because of the Wizard of Oz or whatever.
Don't forget they rebranded immediately afterwards and did this right here.
The Wiz.
The Wizard's too hard and too long to say. So we're just going to go by the nickname of the Wiz.
Yeah, taking a leak.
Come on.
Taking a piss, taking a leak. The Wiz. Yeah, it's pretty pathetic when that's what you have to go with. But no more clubs, please, with names that are. I'm getting sick of United. Done with that. Done with the all FC and SC. I would like people to get a little bit more creative. That would be nice because there's plenty of words left in the human language that you could use, and people haven't used them. I guess one of the women's teams is named Rossing. I didn't know that. One of the women's professional teams has Rossing at the end. They're not in Indianapolis, though. I can tell you that much.
No, they're not really a Rossing team.
By the way, I can confirm that Green Boots has not moved. He's still there. That was a new report.
Did you do that over the break? Did you go up there and take a look?
Yeah, that's right. I hiked all the way up there just to see Green Boots. You well know I would never do that. And number 2, it just happened that there was a drift that had covered him, apparently. And so people thought he was gone, but he's not. He's still there, apparently.
I think the Sherpas were just ahead of everybody and just putting snow on top of him just to hide the boots.
Maybe. It is kind of grim. But I mean, people did use them as a marker. Where are you? Well, we're passing green boots right now up to stage 4. Stage 4, passing green boots right now. Okay, thank you. Out. All right. If I can see any more stupid Mandalorian commercials, by the way, they haven't had a new episode in forever. Forever. Quit playing commercials on fucking YouTube when I'm watching YouTube. If you want me to watch The Mandalorian again, you got to make some new episodes because there haven't been episodes forever. So quit pushing shit you haven't even made new stuff for. Sick of that. By the way, ESPN FC, get your fucking coverage together, man. It's always about the same shit. Like, we're to talk about Barcelona or Real Madrid for like 15 minutes straight, or Arsenal 15 minutes straight, or Man United. Oh, how bad they are. 50 minutes straight. Liverpool. But, we never get it. There's no diversity in that coverage, man. Open it up a little. Let's talk about, some of the things that are really going on in the transfer season.
Yeah.
Even small transfer things. We do it, but hey, they don't.
Speaking of coverage, I saw you respond to Lawless's post on Fox's coverage of Pulisic.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Somebody was like, Fox doesn't show a single game of Serie A, and they have no rights at all, blah blah blah. But they post this. There's a picture of Pulisic having scored however many goals in whatever time frame, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Loss is like, wait, you're upset that Fox is broadcasting U.S. men's national team news
when we're going to be carrying the U.S. men's national team for the next World Cup? Fox is.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jesus, there are only so many rights to certain leagues. Obviously, Paramount has Serie A, so Fox can't have mutual rights to it.
It's not like Fox is up saying, "Oh, here's Pulisic, and they take on so and so next week at this time on this channel." They're not broadcasting it; they're just posting U.S. soccer news, and it's nice to see a U.S. based publication just posting about soccer news.
It is nice. It's just very odd. Like, I feel like I call out Alexi plenty here, but I'm not wasting my time calling him out for shit that's not.
You've
bad.
agreed with him twice in the last 24 hours.
I know. It's
we
crazy.
are getting snow. Maybe hell has frozen over.
Are we getting snow?
Yeah, for like the next 24 hours, snow and rain.
Oh,
it's a nice
shit.
mixture. Can't wait to drive in that.
Oh, my God. I fucking hate it already. All right.
Yeah, let's get the turds coming up before we get too far into this.
Okay, yeah. The turd in the background says, "Welcome back to the straight red card. The Guardian Top 100 list came out, and surprisingly, no Yanks. Speaking of Yanks, my wife yanked off the mailman. I yanked off in the corner. Great fun." So more cucking for the turd here today, unfortunately. Sorry to hear that. But you know what?
I think he enjoys it.
I think he's getting off from it.
Yeah.
I don't think he likes to actually have sex. I think he's a Norm Macdonald type. He'd rather watch it and just spank the monkey. Spank the monkey. All right. You know what's really weird about the word stool?
Which definition are you using?
That's what I mean. Isn't it weird that it has two definitions? It can be a bench and it can be a fucking turd. Speaking of the turd, that came to my mind. I was thinking, wow, that's kind of weird. Why they're such different things, yet they're called the same thing. Stool.
Yeah, it's English language has to be the most strangest language to learn for people who don't speak it. Like those of us who've obviously been born and bred through it all. That's one thing, and even we're not that great at speaking it.
Right. Well, and I know the weirdest thing is that's the actual technical medical term for a poop. Stool. Like, they couldn't come up with a fancier word for shit than stool? That's so weird. And it's like, can you pass me the stool? Ugh. No, the one you're sitting.
I'm not a freaking ape. I'm not going to throw my poop at you.
The one you're sitting on, asshole. Hey, man, you mind if I sit on your stool? Dude, that's gross. That's really gross. No, dude, the one at the table. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Anyhow, nobody's really getting confused about that. But just a weird thing.
Kumar says he thinks stool is the medical term.
It is a medical term. That's what I just said. It's the official medical term.
We just like we've done before, we've taken names of something, stool coming out your butt. So you sit down on a little bench. You can't call it a bench, Derek. It's a little circle with 4 pegs that you sit on.
So yeah, they could come up with.
Yeah, that's a pooper chair. That doesn't work. You can't say that.
I would like to know the origins. Which word came first, the bench or the little sitting table thing, or the poop? How long have doctors been calling poop stool, and how long was it until somebody maybe jokingly created the first stool bench and said, hey, I'm going to call this a stool? And everybody's like, dude, that's gross. He's like, no, it's completely cool. Everyone will forget that they're, and they'll know they're 2 separate things. Don't worry about it. We're going with what I just made here that you sit on as a stool. And maybe it was because your butt's above it. I don't know. Anyhow,
it's
origins of words.
Germanic and Old English, but I don't know what it's in reference to.
Stool.
I like the first thing is like is stool slang for toilet? Apparently, it's slang meaning toilet seat.
Really? I've never heard a toilet seat called a stool. That's news to me.
Relearn.
All right. All right. Well, so it's multiple things. It's a toilet seat. It's something you sit on when you're at the bar, and it's something that ends up in the toilet. There you go. 3 things that stool means. Good mind. Well, isn't a stool, what do you go, a stool pigeon? Is that spelled the same way? And then if you're a stool, is that also somebody who like kind of rats on somebody else? Is a stool? I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
All right. Wuxia says, you sit on a stool and order the stool. Yeah, that's what it sounds like, and we didn't even know that. So, I mean, that is sort of redundant, I think. I think calling it what do we call it? Toilet seat?
Yeah.
There's not a better name for a toilet seat than the toilet seat?
Apparently it's a stool.
Yeah, but that's not good. That's just too many stool being used too many different times.
It's fair enough.
Anyhow, has anyone ever laid down an upper decker? Laid down an upper decker. Oh, I know what that is. So that's when you take a poop when you take the top off the tank and you poop in that and you cover it back up. And that's like a prank you can do on people?
Yeah, all the new water that comes in comes out all brown and gross.
That's gross. Yeah, no, I've never done one.
Gross.
Never laid down an upper decker. It sounds like a lot of work, and like if you slip, it could be dangerous. And
payoff's worth it though,
because your feet have got to be on the stool itself in order to hike your butt all the way up there, right? So if your feet slip, bam, down you come right on your nutsack. So it sounds dangerous too. All right, after 20 minutes of talking about poop,
hopefully we didn't lose too many people there.
Father-daughter swapping. What else did we get in there? Let's start the show. What do you think? What do you think, Brad?
I've got Alpha Claws, 3 Floyds.
Really? What's the alcohol content?
8 something, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
8. That's pretty good.
But it must have been in the package. It's not on the actual bottle.
Okay. I'm doing the Tax Holiday. It's the last one I got of this. It's the one I didn't like as much, which is the Belgian-style dark ale with buckwheat, honey, and it's 10%. So there's that going for it, right? Mm-hmm. So last one of those. I'm going to move on to a different beer next time, I think. Totally. I've got to go find a new 4-pack to try. All right. Where were we? We start the show? Oh, yeah. We already did. Talked about green boots, stool, and father-daughter swapping.
Well, I came across a video of Arsenal's manager.
Okay.
Throwing a little bit of a hissy fit inside the locker room after a loss.
Arteta throwing a farteta?
Yeah.
All right.
And it's just kind of humorous to listen to him getting upset.
Okay.
So just listen to the tone of the pitch and see if you really like, you have some people that get really, like deep voice in there and you're like, Jesse Marsh can really get down on you. I'm sure a lot of Germans have that, especially when they start speaking German. I mean, it's all like throat noises.
Scheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Let's
Let's see if this intimidates you.
All right.
I'm upset. When I lose the small side of games, I'm upset. Because that's the fucking standards. Because you come here and know you fucking lose.
Woo!
Nowhere near, guys. It's fucking shit. I'm telling you, shit.
Wow, I like it. I like it.
Just sounds like he was about to cry there.
Who filmed it and released it without approval, man? That's who's really going to be in trouble. Like whoever was sitting in this seat or standing, it looks like here.
Oh, there was 2 angles though, so I mean, it must just be locker room cameras. So that's kind of weird.
It is weird. So someone released this, and they released it on purpose, right? Because he comes out and he's usually very calm in front of the media, very calm. And maybe what Arsenal want, the reason they leaked it, they want the fans to know that behind the scenes, the players are getting a good ass reaming.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
I mean, to me, again, his voice got high pitched at some points, kind of cracked. He just seemed like he was throwing a bit of a temper tantrum, like Farrell says here.
Well, that's what temper tantrums sound like in broken English with a Spanish accent.
I think Mike B's got it right here. I think we've got it off light and we got Greg. Tonight we are dogs.
Tonight we are dogs. No, we are African dogs.
Unleash the African dogs.
Yeah. No, I like this better. I don't think Greg is capable of what we just saw here. I mean, he is fully capable, but the new Greg is different from the old Greg because the old Greg, the player Greg, is the same guy who used to smash his head against lockers and punch lockers and walls. And apparently
I'm still waiting for the
kick
behind the scenes.
His ex.
I'm still waiting for the behind the scenes when they're trying to decide whether or not to send Reyna back during the World Cup. Because apparently he was fuming then. We didn't get to see that.
No, I bet there was very little raised voice there. And I mean, really Greg has done all he can to combat his inner real Greg. He wants to come off as heady Greg, philosophical Greg, which is impossible. He should just go back to being the grunt he used to be as a player. And kind of, as Jimmy had put it, and I'm summing up Jimmy's words, Conrad's words, kind of a dick. You know, he was kind of a dick to play with. Nothing was ever his fault. It was always my fault if something happened. That's what I'm just telling you what Jimmy Conrad said, right?
Yeah.
It's public knowledge. Jimmy Conrad has said this. But when I played with him, he was a big know-it-all, and he always told me every mistake that the team made was my fault. It was never his fault. And different guy. Obviously, he had a big temper when he was young.
No,
big time temper.
Speaking of guys with big tempers, Brendan Aronson scored a goal this week.
That dude has zero temper. Zero tempers. Like I've never.
See if you can see it. Look at it. He's climbing up on this wire. Right,
that's optical illusion.
He's got it, and he's like, that's right. Look at me, I scored.
He's gonna do hand over fist on that wire.
Oh yeah, feel it good.
I'm glad he feels good, and that's great. But wasn't it like a 4th or 5th division team? I guess you take what you can get, you know.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean shit.
When you're confident,
but a goal is a goal, and your confidence is already shattered. You'll take what you can get.
Yeah, I'm sure that gave him a tiny little hard on. But now he's got to go back and he's got to, go full out again. I guess he's staying. We don't know. There's plenty of time left in this winter window. Which, again.
Union's like, we're going to go ahead and send him back. We don't really need him. And Leeds like, no, you keep him.
Well,
we'll pay you the buyout fee. How about that?
I don't think Leeds would do that. But because I'm sure they could find a way to use Aronson. Let's say you got a 2-0 lead, right? And you want your 2 forwards or your 3 guys up front to be chasing the ball down like a rabid dog. Well, then you put Aronson in, right? Because he's good at that. He'll run all fucking day. He'll put pressure on top. He'll make sure that they can't just dilly-dally with the ball in the backfield.
Not only that, they're not going to get anywhere. They wouldn't be able to get a transfer anywhere near the amount they paid for him.
No,
they're on the verge of possibly going back up anyways, and has the team actually improved since they're in the Premiership last. No, they lost a handful of starters.
Right.
They're doing well in the Championship, sure. But they're going to have the buck up some, the summer transfer window.
Oh, by the way, did you see that Bamford Galazzo?
Yeah.
Weekend?
Yeah.
Where was that last season?
He misses stupid tap-ins. Harrison and Aronson all season long. And then all of a sudden he does this chest to a backwards, whatever, scissor kick.
No look, hip swiveling, fucking outside the box hammer. Yeah, we could have used that last season, Bamford. Where were you? Bamford doesn't get to play much this season, by the way. I think that's one of his few rare games because it was
an FA Cup game.
It was a cup game. So
no, it was against a third division, fourth division. It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter, number one, because they have been playing Rutter as the starting center forward, and Rutter's not even a center forward. I mean, he's a fucking winger, and they are kind of forcing him this square peg into round hole. But it's working. They're at the top of the table, but they are kind of, they're
in second place.
Yeah. But, I mean,
nobody's catching Leicester.
It's a lot of work to go still the rest of the season. And I know that they just started sort of bolstering the center back position. So we'll see what happens. They're going for it. They're going for it with our good buddy Farka. Good old Farka, who I still say is quality manager.
BMR's got it covered. They're actually in third.
Okay. Yeah, you'd like to be in one of the top two spots. Being third sucks. That means you're in the playoff.
Back up.
Right?
Jack Pineda said that Aronson has the temper of a golden retriever.
Right.
You want to be friends? I want to be friends. You want to be friends, bro? Come on, bro.
I'm so happy to see you. I'm so glad you came. Why did you leave for so long? Oh, my God. Don't do that ever again.
BMR correcting himself.
Yeah, I thought they were in the playoff. Yeah, okay. When Brett said second, I'm like, that sounds too
Last I looked, they were in second. I mean, I guess I just don't follow Championship a lot closely until Sargent's back now.
Yeah, you want to be in the top two. You don't want to have to go into those playoffs.
Well, they're heavy set in the playoffs right now. They are sitting, 7 points out of second.
Yeah. It's not undoable, but they need somebody to kind of have Leicester's not going to fuck up. But they got to hope, the teams just below Leicester start having a rough time.
For Norwich's poor performances while Sargent was on the mend, they're only about 2 points away from a playoff spot already. So,
well, yeah, I mean they gave Sargent 45 in the cup game.
Yeah,
and pulled him at halftime. Not for bad play, I can tell you that.
I heard he almost had a goal and almost had an assist. Apparently,
yes, he played very well, and he really looks kind of leaps and bounds. Really, like he doesn't belong there. Like his quality when you watch him on the ball, watch what he can do. You're kind of like, wow, he's kind of on another level compared to these players, and he just got back. He just got back from a long-term injury, and he already looks better than everybody else on his team. And I think the great thing is everybody else on the team knows it, so they try to get him the ball as much as they can. They really do.
My team's going to the playoff spot for championship. BMR saying it's 5 points away from playoff spot. I said how many teams go into the playoffs?
4. So the top two are auto, and then auto, and the next 4. Okay. Then the next 4 play a playoff.
I get you. Okay.
All right. I know not a lot of us are familiar with the championship. Most of us watch the EPL, but now that
Serie B.
Now that we have so many players in the championship, obviously we're all watching that a lot more. And congratulations to DK for his goal and his comeback and his first 45 back as well from a 9-month injury. And apparently he's not allowed to celebrate it. Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like the goal was against a lesser division team as well, FA Cup and everything. But yeah, your point. Well, that was just like 9 fucking months.
It's like that. It's called Yank Abroad, YENK, Yank Abroad.
Have you noticed? Since as of yesterday or today, there's been like 5 or 6 parodies of that account.
Oh, has there been?
Yeah.
I don't know which one I replied to, but I'm like,
no, you're doing the Yanks Abroad one. Yeah.
That's the right one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The parody ones all just cover different countries.
Okay. Well, the guy just needs to understand if he wants to be funny that when you're trying to be humorous, something about what you're saying has to be true. Like a hint of it has to whiff at the truthfulness of something. And so far, he's been striking out lately for the last two, because he did that whole thing where people are like, oh, no, on Conrad, oh, he's Haitian. Nobody's saying he's still American. Yeah. Nobody's pushing him away. Conrad pushed himself away, you dumb fuck. He's sucking. He's an Ibar. He's a bench player in the fucking Segunda. He's pushing himself away and then thus picking Haiti. It wasn't us. None of us held our nose. We were never saying.
We were the fan base has been praying that he will pull himself together for the last.
Everybody's been hoping he pull himself together. Some of us just realized that probably not going to happen anymore. And
probably never going to find it. But he posted one not too long ago that I'm like, all right, that one was funny.
I'm sure.
I can't remember what it was now.
I'm sure occasionally he gets one right, but this one was like, nobody is saying that we didn't want him to work out. He just didn't work out. And then he compared him to some other player. I don't know. But no one, that's what I said. No one was saying that. No one was hoping that he would fail. Well, that's ridiculous. Yanks abroad, on the 1st of January, we say happy birthday to none other than Josh Sargent. I mean, I get the joke, but
that's the one that I said. I believe I said, LOL.
This is one of your best. Oh, Jesus, Brett.
Seriously, I laughed harder than I should have with this one, but it was good.
Is that really Ice Spice, huh?
Yeah.
She's not one of the Spice Girls? She's just stealing their name?
Sure.
So there's Scary Spice, there's Posh Spice, and she's just like, well, fuck you guys. I'm joining the band. I don't care. My name's Ice Spice. They're like, hey, you can't do that. You're not a Spice Girl. She's like, fuck off. I'll do it if I want. She might be related to one of the Spice, because she's old enough in that photo to be a daughter of one of the Spice Girls at this point. So maybe she is a Spice Girl. Second generation. Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Yeah, they already had a Ginger Spice.
Did they?
Yeah.
Ginger Spice, huh?
She was the redhead in the group.
That would be a good nickname for Sargent. I like that. But they call him what? Ginger Ninja? Ginger
Ninja, yeah.
Yeah.
Norwich paid, I think, about €8 million, I think.
Yeah. It was a decent price, but not excessive.
Yeah, I think if he comes back and he does really well the rest of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some teams that are keeping an eye on him.
For sure.
I mean, yeah. So
he just leaps and bounds. I'm sorry. Look at a lot of the strikers in the fucking Premier League. Some of them are just fucking rotten fucking eggs. They suck. I don't know how they're there. But, to me, Josh Sargent looks like he's better than, some of those bottom team strikers that they've got. The Ginger Ninja, I guess. Isn't that his nickname? Or does he have another one?
No, that's what it is. Jose just wanted us to say ninja again.
Ninja? Is that a bad word now? Are you not allowed to say ninja?
No, it's sort of the get around for saying a different N-word.
Oh. All right. Well, that's news to me. Yeah. Okay. All right. What else we got here? Al Weinstein. For $199. Thank you, brother. Brother Al. Peace to the tribe. His contract. By the way, when I said that last time, somebody's like, didn't understand what that means. The tribe. If you're part of the tribe. Well, look it up. Come on. You can't figure that out? They said something else about some other tribe. It's like, no, he's not an Indian. He's not Native American. He could be. He could be percentage Native American. I don't know. But Al says his contract expires in summer of 28. We've been talking a lot about a lot of people. Okay. Yeah, that's a long time from now.
Didn't he re-sign with them though?
Yeah, but that's one of those things where Norwich is like, let's keep this guy, and if somebody wants him, we own him, so we'll get a good cut.
That's funny we talk about that Because, Derek, we're going to quickly jump into our favorite segment of the show. Get ready. Here it comes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Transfer news. Transfer news. Transfer news. But me. All right.
Look at that one.
Probably didn't sync up. Brian Gutierrez to Cruz Azul. We'll get into the interview with Berhalter, but guess who never came up in the interview with Berhalter? Where the fuck's Brian Gutierrez?
Or Chris Brady, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What, you have a job. You got one job to do, and that's to ask about like really obvious people who are missing. Brian Gutierrez.
I mean, not like you're not going to be asking, hey, where's Pulisic, obviously, but come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Gutierrez. I mean, you're going to bring Atencio and not fucking Brian Gutierrez. There's got to be somebody raise their hand and go, hey, yeah, I noticed Goody, who's been playing all like the best player on Chicago.
An excellent season for Chicago. One of the standouts, stood out better than most of the U23 players that you brought into camp this window. Why wasn't he included? Now, the rumor has, and we talked about this last show, is that Chicago said no.
I wouldn't be shocked if they said no, because they said no before.
That's what most Chicago people have their ears to the ground, hearing all the rumors and talks. That's basically what they said too. It wouldn't surprise me.
That would not surprise me, although I believe Pete said to me on X that if that's true, he's going to lose his shit on Chicago. And I would say he's already lost his shit on Chicago. He fucking despises Chicago more than I do. And the only reason you still follow that team is because you're loyal. But if I were you, I'd think about ditching him and going to a new team.
Fuck would I go to at this point?
I don't know.
Can't root for anybody in Ohio. I'm not going all the way down to Nashville. And I can't drive. I was there for the good. I've been here for the bad for like 13 years. I feel like there's going to be a change. It's going to happen sometime soon, Derek. I feel it in my bones.
How long? I mean, they got the same fucking coach again, too. I mean, you got no hope. There's no hope. They're going to be bad. And we're shoring up our defense. They've announced the two people. Their first two signings are center backs.
Are they center back and right back?
Are they Polish?
I think the right back is, yes.
Okay. I know they have a history of signing Polish guys. Let's hope that works out for them.
You got to start filling in that stadium somehow.
I don't think they're enough.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to help them really. Because, Polish guys are all Bears fans. They're Bears fans, right? They don't follow soccer anymore. They eat sausage and watch the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean, Shaqiri was talking about, all I got to do is make a phone call, and I can get certain people over here. Maybe a certain Polish striker. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Right.
So every time they announce somebody new, they're just like, "Hey, what about that DP striker that we were talking about? Where's that guy at?"
The one that plays for fucking Barcelona and having a poor season. Sign him.
We'll take him.
I don't know what to say about this because it's from not that Cranks is bad.
No. It's not. It's somebody else mentioned it here. It's the actual post right here.
It wouldn't surprise me. He's a great player.
He's one of two people they're considering. Now the big thing is obviously he's on contract through 2028, which means that Chicago has all the pull here and saying how much money they're going to be requesting.
Yep.
And it's not going to be small pittance.
Right.
So.
It's not going to be small. I guess it's going to be whatever the Mexican team actually dishes out. Probably won't be enough for Chicago. But, they wanted to hang on to Brian because they think eventually someone is going to come in and swoop in and buy him big. And if it's not big enough, they're not going to do it.
Well, and that's the thing. If they get another two, let's just say they get another 2 seasons out of him, and then they get another medium-sized bid. It's not what they were hoping for, but at least they got a couple more seasons in developing the team or whatever.
Sorry to laugh.
It's gonna happen one of these days, Derek. It's gonna happen, and I'll be like, see, I told you this was the year, Derek. This was the year. Ignore the previous 27 years, Derek. This was the year.
As a Galaxy fan, recently it's been pretty rough. Yeah. But And I bitched and complained about their management, but boy, Chicago, you got to be tough to be a fan there. All right, what else we got? In transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news. But
So I already knew this one that he was going here, but it's become official.
Hey, Tom Bogert, by the way, congrats, my friend, starting a YouTube channel.
I saw that, yeah.
Way to go, buddy. I left you a congrats, but maybe you didn't see it. All right,
It had a very Max feel to the setup and everything. Just the camera, the one-on-one there.
Yeah.
So.
And kind of like, kind of like Max, I think that he's a gentleman, right? He's not going to say anything outrageous. He's just reporting the facts as he knows them. And U.S. men's national team striker Brandon Vasquez arrived in Mexico yesterday to complete his transfer to Monterrey from Cincinnati. Rayados will pay up to $8.5 million, which is reasonable. 7.5 plus $1 million in add-ons. Cincy will keep a sell-on percentage. Cincy likely to face Monterrey in Champions Cup round of 16. So now we'll just see if Vasquez plays. He's got to play. And
well, I love the Cincy will keep a sell-on percentage because at this point he's a 26-year-old striker.
Yeah,
just signed a new deal with the Mexican team. He ain't going nowhere. And the sell-on may be back to MLS in the end.
Yes, that's often what happens. Once you go to Mexico, if you're an American, you don't usually translate that into a bump to Europe. You're pretty much going to stay in Mexico, and or if that doesn't work, come back to MLS. That's how that usually works. And hell, Mexico's not even a launching point for Mexican players to go to Europe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're very tight there, very tight. Zendejas, Vasquez, Cade Cowell, we'll still see if that works out. And Gutierrez, also looking at Mauricio Cuevas. You can keep looking, but they can keep looking. I'm sorry. We'll see. But big clubs in the Liga MX either have or are looking at talent from USA, and it's only going to become ubiquitous. Yes, I would guess as the leagues have come closer and closer together in talent, that's probably the truth. Yes.
Not only that, but from a business standpoint too. I mean, there's just more and more relationships being made between the leagues itself.
Oh yeah,
so.
A lot of crossover, a lot of fake leagues and fake tournaments, and all kinds of weird shit they're making up.
Amazing cups that sprung up out of nowhere, and
all kinds of weird shit.
Be great.
Yep, Super League Cup, Leagues Cup, Cups Cup. All right. Bayern in Germany. PSV are willing to activate their option to buy. And, this is not new news because Ernie already said it. We're going to try to hold on to all of these guys, all three Americans. They're willing to activate the option to buy around $14 million for Malik Tillman. However, Bayern still have control over the player's future as they have a clause that allows them to cancel the option to buy provided they pay PSV a compensation. My guess is Bayern is going to let him go.
It's my question though is PSV is they're kind of pretty much a developing or sort of like a Dortmund type of club where you develop players and you sell them on to bigger clubs for the most part, not completely,
not quite as big as Dortmund.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but my point is they're spending $14 million on them. If that's the case, then that's
a lot of money.
They're probably not going to be able to sell them onto a bigger club for much more. Possible, but that's a hefty launching point.
We've seen players from the Dutch league go to the big teams: Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United.
Yes. No, it's definitely possible. It's happened for them. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a high launching off point.
Yeah,
unless you're playing this being more of a long-term plan.
I think this is, I think, it's still possible for him to get to like a $20 million, $24 million range eventually, and they still sell him for a profit. But yeah, I mean, $14 million is a good chunk of money. I'm not going to deny that. Yeah. So good for, that's a great
nothing new. This is nothing new. We've known about this for weeks.
Right. But it's good for Tillman if this is the case. I don't think he'll ever play at Bayern. And they know it too.
No.
They know it too.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think this is a good move. Hopefully, for PSV's sake, they can get it down a little bit from 14. But
I don't think they will. But I think Bayern's going to stick to that if that's what they think he's
I wonder
worth.
how much longer they got him on contract for.
I don't know.
I'm not going to look it up because I'm sure somebody will have it in like 2 seconds. 1.
Right. 2.
All right, we'll move on. Somebody will say in the chat, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, I think we need to come up with an intro for this next segment where we talk about dual panic.
Dual panic. Oh no. Dual panic. Oh no. Cap them now. Cap them now. Holy shit. Cap them now. There you go. That's the new song.
That works. We got it. I like how you stuck to the same format too. That's nice. BMR's got us covered. I don't even know why I've got to say his name. I'll just say, hey, the chat's got us covered. But June 2024.
Oh, that's coming up.
So I mean, I feel like there's some wiggle room as far as a decrease from 14 mil.
I think you're right.
Because if he finishes out the loan and they don't do the buyout, is he not a free agent then?
I believe he would be, yes. But there might be some technical crap in that agreement we don't know about.
Yeah, that's very true. And at that point, PSV might be looking at, well, am I going to be the best, the most influential suitor at that point? Maybe a couple other teams will come and knocking. And we might not get him after that.
I mean, maybe one of the rivals of PSV does that. Maybe Feyenoord goes after him soon or next season. Or AZ or Ajax. Who knows? A breakout U21 season.
Just continue with that real quick. I think if he's going to stick in Holland, I don't see why he wouldn't just sign with – if he's a free agent, why he wouldn't just sign with PSV.
Money.
Unless Feyenoord says, hey, I'm willing to pay you 2 times
more.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Ajax could afford to pay him a lot more. So there's that.
Yeah,
10 goals. This is for Ken Abo. Playing for the Norwich youth team, their U21s. 10 goals. Second top goal scorer in PL2. Top goal scorer between the U18s and U21 teams. This is good news. We had another youngster at Norwich who is now on loan in the League One team, Tompkinson. So Norwich developing all these dual nets, cap them now. Holy shit. So, but yeah, he's
the Nigerian, English, American.
More likely to play for us or Nigeria than England. We all know the hoops you got to jump through to make that happen. Just ask Musa. Just ask Balogun.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play young players in England anyhow. They really don't play a whole lot of them. They got a handful they play. Depending on what you call young, it's not like they're playing a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds or even 20-year-olds on the English national team. They just don't do it. So.
Yeah,
okay.
And at that point, I mean, I guess I don't know what his youth performance, national team performances have been, but I mean, he's 19, and he's playing for a 2-team of Norwich at this point.
We could transfer market it and find out.
I'll just wait. No, what are the odds that somebody has this news ready to roll immediately? Transfer market.
Yeah, but I bet you. I think he's played for the U17 squad, English squad. That's my guess. Because he's never
transfer market only has an English and Nigerian, so I wonder if he was just like born in America or something like that.
Well, it gives him the birthplace on there too.
Fair enough.
I'd like to know.
Doesn't specify the location of his birth. No.
That's fucking weird. That's unusual. Okay, well, I'd like to know how he's American. Usually, I know those things. I just don't know about this guy. So good.
We'll do some research on that, I guess.
Good for you, Ken Abo, and good luck to you going forward. We'll see what happens. All right, what else you got? That's not even transfer news. Tactical manager response to Fabrizio Romano, who says RB Leipzig agreed deal to sign Croatian top-tier talent Dino Klapija from Kustosija, Zagreb. Here we go. What That sounds like
Thank you for taking over on that one.
Fucking venereal diseases. That sounds like. Dino Klapija. Understand Leipzig will pay 5.2 million fee for Croatian side Kusta Ziva for 2007 born striker. There will be also 10% sell-on clause. Medical already completed. Why is
this tweet was translated from Google Translate or something?
Why is this news?
It's just a dual nat.
Another import dual nat for the U.S. men's national team. Dino is eligible to play for U.S. and Croatia. He was born in the USA and even played at the NYFC Academy. Is now signed with Leipzig at age 17. Oh, good news. Me versus me. Oh, he's doing some funky stuff with his shirt, and he wrote it in English.
Yep, and he was also in MLS Next. Look at that.
Oh, that is the MLS Next.
Not Next Pro. He wasn't the Next Pro, though.
Oh, okay. Boys playing boys. Boys playing boys.
MLS Next is the academy system, so yeah, it would be boys versus boys.
Right. And then MLS Next is still boys versus boys.
Next Pro. Next Pro.
Next Pro. Sorry, Jesus. All these stupid names they've got for him. This Next Pro, buddy.
Yeah.
Because it's a step in our ladder for youth.
It goes MLS Next. Then it's MLS Next Pro. It's not quite a pro, but they're going to be a pro. They become pro status at the youth level.
And then it's Don Garber's nutsack. And then MLS. All right.
Just promising youth talents that we can snag and let Donovan fume, right?
Cap them now, captain now, cap them now.
There. Just because I wanted to end this on a positive note, let's talk about a dual nat who's 15 years old.
Okay, Austin Jones, 15 years old, is open to playing for the U.S. youth national team. Sorry, buddy. I just misgendered the dude.
He's got a couple U.S. national teams who could be in his ear saying, hey, it's pretty nice over here. We get called African dogs. It's the bomb.
Yeah.
We go to the zoos in whatever city we go to.
Since more than 70% of the team, American team is made up of African Americans, I'm sure they really appreciate being called African dogs. I mean, they must have been looking at each other what the fuck? But Austin, I know. Would you call me? But Austin has not received any calls from the USA due to
he's 15 years old.
Yeah, I know.
But you didn't get any calls from the U15s, apparently.
Jeez,
we don't have that. We don't have that long of a reach yet, where we can start, looking at all the 14, 13-year-olds in every country.
Yeah, U14, U15 level. We don't typically go after dual nats in Europe. That's not what that happens more around the U17 age.
Yeah, around that range.
That's a lot of travel for a 14-year-old to go all the way back to the United States to play in youth tournaments. But it's been done. It's been done.
Mom, Dad, I'm going to fly over to the United States and play Haiti and Panama. Woo!
And, he probably would rather play anyhow in Netherlands. That's a really short trip for him. So due to him not being received any calls, I don't know. I mean, he would have done that regardless, probably, if he got calls or not. He has stayed with the Netherlands youth teams for the time. Oh my God! Panic time! Cap them now! Dual nat! Yeah. All right. It's great. I'm happy for Austin Jones. I hope it works out. There's just for everybody knows he's right. Des played.
Yep.
U17, pretty sure.
Yep.
Yes. That's typically when we start pulling them over, but not in U14s, U15s, U12s. We don't pull them over that early.
Yeah.
So that just so everybody knows, there's about a fucking 5% chance this guy ever turns out to be good enough to play for any of the teams he's eligible for.
Well, hell, we've had U.S. national team players playing on PSV and Ajax's youth teams, and where are they now?
Yes, there's been plenty of them. Not so great. So the chance, there's a 5% or less chance that he's got to ever play for the Dutch or the American national teams. So I wouldn't worry yourself. Let's just watch how he develops and see what happens.
The great thing about Twitter, especially our show, because we know Greg and USSF watches our show, is now they're aware of the kid. Maybe they'll keep an eye and tabs on him. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure this just whipped them into a frenzy. They're
there's a 15-year-old over at home. Got to give him a call.
Frothing at the mouth, they are now.
Right. Oh, man, I watched this video today of a guy who went to Argentina for 3 weeks because his wife's family's from Argentina, and he was able to take his kids to the local club there, and have them train with them and stuff like that. And he's a coach here in the States. My guess is just at the random club level type thing. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about the differences between training in Argentina versus training here in the States, etc. It was an interesting video to watch, and he's got one that actually talks about the pitfalls of the U.S. system that I want to sit down and watch as well. The whole pay-to-play system and how players fall through the cracks. But he was talking about the technical ability between his sons, who are Americans, who play in American system, versus the Argentine youth who they're playing against. And he's like, the actual technical ability between them wasn't – they fit in perfectly. There was nobody that really outshined over top of them. They weren't fish out of water type of thing. I was like, that's nice to know. The problem is that they get more technically sound, and they get more tactically sound in the youth system than our youth system. So
yeah, that's not where it usually falls apart. It falls apart a little later. It's that transition.
That's 17 to 19 to 20-year-old range.
That's where it starts to really, fall apart for a lot of our guys.
We got MLS Next Pro, Derek. Come on.
Oh, by the way, who was the guy who posted this? Because, his implication, that's American soccer, his implication here is that U.S. soccer isn't doing their job. And generally, I would agree with him. U.S. soccer sucks. But I'm not going to blame them for not bringing over a 14, 15-year-old kid already.
And this is the other thing, too, because you see all these Twitter handles, like U.S. men's national team, etc., and they act like they have insight. And they might. I'm not saying they don't. I don't know if Prospects has insight where he is, who she might be. I don't know. But I mean, he says this player is good. I'm like, how often do you get to see PSV's 15, 16-year-old playing? I mean, how is it possible that unless you personally know this kid somehow, family friend or whatever, it's possible.
Have you watched?
Maybe he's in Holland. I don't know.
No, this bullshit. He hasn't watched and seen shit. All right. He just knows this kid played for the Dutch youth teams, and he's just saying this guy's good. Okay.
I mean, he's a U.S. youth national team player pool poster. So I don't know. I don't know what he knows. I'm just saying.
It's not like there's a ton of footage of this kid.
That's my point. Maybe he's boots on the ground in Holland, for all I know. But
well, he might want to put that in his description of himself. And then maybe if you put down European scout, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah. But if he lives in New Jersey, no, I'm sorry. There's not a lot of tape on this kid that you can just, unless he's called the club and said, hey, I'm this pedophile guy. I want to watch this kid.
Whoa. It's not even lumped two and two together there.
Well, I'm just saying, there's no way he's got all this footage of this kid playing soccer. I'm sorry, he just doesn't.
Well, and that's the other thing, though, too. When you're looking at little highlight reels and stuff like that, that's exactly the purpose of them, is to make them seem like they're great players.
Exactly.
You can go through and find highlight reels of just about any player out there, and this kid's really good.
And you'll think, this kid's really good. And I'm not saying he isn't good, but he's good at 15. Hold your dick in your pants. It's too early to whip anything out and get excited, all right? Just chill out and calm the fuck down. This guy is good. We need to start recruiting him. We might need to start thinking about sending a scout and looking at him. We don't need to start recruiting him already, for Christ's sake. What, are we going to start mailing him flowers, sending him, video games, little presents here and there? I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they need to start looking at the U17s anyways. So, I mean, yes, keep them in mind, I guess.
Send a scout over. Yeah.
Add them to the list of potential U17ers, and then go from there.
we've got barely any scouts. So, I mean, I don't know who we're going to recruit to go scout him.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. We are short on scouts right now because nobody wanted to live in fucking Chicago. So hopefully they're rounding out their scout system at this point and telling people you don't have to move in Chicago. That was the hypocritical Ernie Stewart move because he wanted you to live in Chicago, but he didn't want to live there. So he wasn't going to live there, but he was going to require you to live there, which is ridiculous. Hypocrite.
Yeah. Right. Well, going back to that video I was watching about the guy who went to Argentina. He was talking about how like the way that the scouting system is set up in the States versus there is you could be at some random youth club in a non-existent town of Argentina, and some baker might be watching this youth club team playing, and he sees this kid who's really good, but he knows the chef of some soccer coach at this club over here, so he gives him a call and say, hey, you guys need to take a look at this guy, and then they come send out scouts. So it's a little bit different, whereas, here in the States,
we got a lot of
scouting range.
We got a lot of ground to cover on our own goddamn continent, let alone Europe. And every
other continent.
Yeah, we were short. We've been short on scouts, so let's hope they filled that gap since the "you got to live in Chicago" bullshit was, I guess, dumped, and we can send somebody over to go look at this kid and at least maybe go shake his hand, get his email, get his parents' cell phone number, so you're not too creepy about it. But it's too early to be recruiting him. It's certainly early enough to go watch him and keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Tallis Magno would be open to representing the U.S. men's national team in the future if he becomes eligible. Of course he would be open to it. Everybody's open to everything. His eligibility will be till 2026 at the age of 24. So, again, if this kid's got like 0.00003 chance of playing for Brazil, so why? Of course he would be open to playing for us. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on him. Again, and I'm not saying Edgar's getting all excited about this or anything, but I don't think people should get excited about it. Let's just chill out and see what happens.
He becomes eligible. I mean, I guess I don't know the background story for this guy, but is it saying that he's Brazilian, he's working towards U.S. citizenship?
Yes, I think it is.
Will he still be here by 2026 to get U.S. citizenship?
I think his parents live here too. And guess what? He's already 21. It's not like he's 15. All right. Did he dominate as a 20-year-old in MLS? I don't remember that. Did you? I don't. I watched a bunch of NYCFC games this year. I know you did watch a handful too, because you always
played Chicago. Yeah,
you made fun of my boy, Keaton Parks.
Yeah, all right. Especially early on in the season. But this is the big thing, right? He's got to live here 5 consecutive years to become eligible.
Yeah, so he's got 4 more to go. He's already been here a year.
I brought this up.
He's got 2 more to go. My bad.
I brought this up not as necessarily saying like, oh, dude, maybe by 2026 we'll have him, and more of a okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, guys, you're 21. You're 21 years old, 22 now. You didn't blow anybody's dick off this year at MLS. You're probably a decent player, although I watched several games and don't remember his name coming up a single time. So I guess I'm supposed to get excited about this. Are we supposed to get excited about anybody who's lived here over 4 years?
Well, how many of the players? We talk about Acosta, and there was another player too. That was
Luchi Acosta. I'd get excited about that more than this.
Sure, because that's got to be within the year compared to this, which is 4 years.
And Luchi Acosta's a proven,
2 years,
proven player par excellence. He's a good player. He's a really good player. He would add depth behind Reyna at the CAM spot, behind Tillman at the CAM spot. And he can play out wide too if you really need him. And that's a position we're really hurting at right now. Mm-hmm. Well, not really. We've said it seemed like we were hurting, unless you count Haji as a possible winger and you count Sargent as another possible winger, then we're not hurting at all. We're not hurting at all that way. Does Gregg think that? That's my question. And I hope Haji's proving the point that, yes, he can play left winger if needed, if Pulisic is out. And I think Sargent has already proven to Berhalter, yes, he can play out wide if he needs to have somebody go out there and play wide. Because he did it for years for Werder. and he did it for years for Norwich, right? He's proven he can play out wide. Okay, what else we got? Man, time is flying by.
We're done with the transfer news for now.
Okay.
Until Thursday, we're done.
Okay.
Let's branch off into a new topic here.
Okay.
Let's talk about current USA players that need to come back to MLS in the next couple of years.
Okay, Brad. Let's do it.
Indeed.
All right. Oh, our good friend Max Bredos. Max, we need to talk, dude.
This is not the first time he said this too, so he really believes it.
I know.
He really does believe it.
Got to quit hammering shit.
Same 3 players too. It's not like he mixed it up and threw in like DK's name in there or something like that might find his way back to MLS in the next 2 years. He's stuck with the same 3 key players.
If he said DK, I'd be like, yeah, this makes more sense.
That's possible. Yeah, it's very possible.
If he said Aronson, I'd go, oh, yeah, that's very possible.
That's very possible. Yeah.
But don't fucking toss in Pulisic, McKennie, and Reyna, the best 3 fucking players that we got. Why are you doing this, Max?
Well, like I said in response to him, I said, Pulisic just signed a new deal. He's with AC Milan. He's not going anywhere. He's their top player. Not in 2 years. I don't see it happening. Even if he isn't with AC Milan in 2 years, there's going to be a slew of other European teams out there that are interested in him. Because guess what? He's got more ambition than just 2026. He's got ambition for the next World Cup too.
2030, correct.
McKinney is nearing the end of his contract. But guess what? And we're going to get into this, I guess.
Well, Juventus is wants to re-sign him.
Yeah, let me pull it up, I guess. Because I've got these.
Juventus is ready to start negotiations to renew the contract of McKennie. Juventus are ready to open talks with McKennie's agent to discuss the possible contract extension. Of course they are. He's been one of the best players on the team this season.
But it's funny. He has gone from they're going to sell him, Tottenham's going to buy him for like the last 3 years, to we're going to start negotiating with him again. Let's keep him on the team, guys.
And we've explained this before. They were just mad at him because he forced the move to Leeds.
Well, I mean, those rumors were the previous 2 years prior as well, or year.
But they're like, "What do you mean you want to go to Leeds?" He said, "Hey, I want to go to Leeds. Let me go." And they did it, and they were not happy about doing it. And so when he came back, they were still irritated with him. But they quickly changed their minds once he got to training, and they saw he lost like 10 pounds. He was quicker, faster.
His ass. Yeah.
And they're like, okay, hold on. Why don't you come with us to America for our little America tour then? We were just kidding about the we don't want you thing. And now he starts every fucking game, except for the cup game.
Back in the midfield now. No longer out wide.
Way of starting out wide now. All right. Yep. So there we go. Let's go back to what we had. Let me just read what Max said.
Yeah.
Invest in America. Players who had spell in Europe. They are marketable, recognizable, and reliable. If you are going to overpay in MLS, this is a profile. All right. If you are going to overpay, then yeah, you can pull a Josie Altidore contract or a Bradley contract or a Dempsey contract. Fine. All those players, except for Altidore, especially Bradley and Dempsey, were already in their 30s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I guess that's going to be the argument here, because they're Pulisic and McKennie are going to be in there by 28 by 2026. And of course, they've got enough in their system to play for another World Cup. So again, that's probably one thing that's probably going to keep them in Europe. But then again, MLS could come by and say, "Hey, Pulisic, we're willing to offer you $10 million."
$10 million? You're going to take more than that.
Well, he's making $7 right now at AC Milan, 7.8.
He did that on purpose. He took a pay cut because he wanted to go there.
Fair enough. I'm just saying though, 2 years from now, again, MLS might come out and say, "Hey, we're willing to pay you more than what you're worth."
Oh, they're going to have to.
No, they will have to. I agree. My point is that they could offer that. They've offered it to other people. Hell, they offered Josie $6 million as much. They offered him as much as Bradley got.
Yeah. And the difference between all of those players is that, okay, Dempsey was just coming off that season with Tottenham, which wasn't his best. Bradley was kind of an on again, off again, mostly a bench guy for Roma, and he wanted to play. Mm-hmm. And Altidore is coming off a completely wretched experience at Sunderland. None of the three guys we just mentioned here are going to have that experience. All right, because they're still going to be young enough and just going into their prime. Their tippy-top prime.
Mm-hmm.
They're late 20s when this happens. And Reyna will be even younger than that. Perhaps a precursor to likes of Pulisic, McKennie, or Reyna coming next few years. Listen, the only reason, and he's got fucking Mihailovic's shirt there, the only reason Mihailovic is coming back is that he failed. Those three guys aren't going to fail. At any
Charlie
club,
Davies would disagree with you, Derek. You go to Europe, you don't really pan out, and you come back to MLS. It's not a failure.
No, I didn't say coming back to MLS is a failure. I'm saying Mihailovic failed to make any fucking dent at all, failed to assert himself, failed to become an important player at AZ. That's why he's coming back with his tail tucked between his legs, because it didn't work out. And guess what? He could have tried again. He could have said, all right, it didn't work out here, but I'm going to go try Genk, or I'm going to go try Anderlecht, or I'm going to, but no, he just said, fuck this shit. Fuck this. I'm going home where I'm going to get paid. And that's fine. I got nothing against it. But don't compare Mihailovic to goddamn Pulisic, McKennie, and Reyna. Those three guys are cutthroat motherfuckers. Mihailovic is a soft-ass person.
And I forgot the guy's name. The sports lawyer that's become an MLS shill. And I can't think of his name for life of me. Somebody's got it in the chat, I'm sure.
That's Mr. Shill to you.
Mr. Shill is my father's name.
Shill. Mr. Shill.
But he also posted something like this not too long ago, where he's like, MLS will be attracting former or like current U.S. stars because they are going to overpay for U.S. players.
Yes, they are going to overpay, but are they willing to overpay to the point that Pulisic, McKennie, and Reyna go, fuck it. I know I'm in my prime. I'm just going to go back to MLS. What the fuck? None of these three guys have ever shown any evidence whatsoever that they are those kind of people.
Yeah.
All right? You see Landon Donovan's name? No. This is Pulisic, McKennie, and Reyna, not Landon Donovan.
Isn't how old's Reyna? He's like what, 21?
Mm-hmm.
What part of Reyna's personality says I want to go play in MLS right now?
None. Zero zilch.
We're getting all this in a second, but Pulisic's got the drive. McKennie, I don't see going anywhere. He's got the drive to stay in Europe.
Yep.
And Reyna's not coming back in. Those three are like the three you can guarantee from the starting lineup that will not be back. But then again, go extend from that. I don't see Weah coming back. I don't see Musa coming over to MLS.
No.
I don't see Des coming to MLS right now.
No, big time not. He's not even happy playing at fucking PSV.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the next big name from U.S. soccer coming to MLS or coming back to MLS would more likely be Turner in the situation. If I had to pick one player on the field that's in Europe right now, that's a contender for the U.S. men's national team's starting 11, I think Turner's most likely to come back.
Turner or McKenzie? Yeah, I think McKenzie's in that boat too. I think EPB's in that boat too. I think Trusty's starting to.
Well, I mean, I feel like Turner's the only contender for a starting 11 spot there. McKenzie, EPB.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Those are contenders for the 23, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, okay. You're talking about starters.
I'm going starters because he's naming the three big boys.
Yeah, like bench players, yeah, or guys in the peripheral. Yes, yeah. Okay, you can name them. I don't think what Max understands here, and Max, I'm not trying to bust your balls here, dude, but I don't think you understand the ambitions of these players. Like, I really don't think you've gauged their ambitions. These guys they're not there for, shits and giggles. They're there to make a fucking statement and prove they're one of the best players in the world. That's what they want to do. I mean, I don't know what he's doing there.
We have Pulisic's 6 assists for AC Milan, and who's set up? He set up 6 different teammates. That doesn't scream to me a guy that's aching to come to MLS in the next handful of years.
It's not even
alone 2 years.
It's not even about stats.
I'm saying it does a little bit with stats because, quite frankly, if you're excelling well in the top 5 or even the top 3 or 4 at this point, MLS is in is so far into your future that you're not even entertaining the thought process.
Fuck no, especially not by 2026.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break. No, Max, not going to happen. Not going to happen, my friend. Sorry. Don't post stuff like that because I don't know what it says about you, but it doesn't bode well because it makes you look like you're living in Disneyland and like you don't know those guys at all. You haven't watched their interviews. You don't know their backgrounds. You don't know their heart. You don't know their ambitions. Like, I don't think, and you do know that, which makes that post even weirder. Like, I think you do. Deep down, Max, I think you know. I have to give that dude a call. All right. Gio Reyna sees himself as a 10, not a winger, but he hasn't proved himself in that role. In addition, yes, he has. On the U.S. national team, he has. In addition,
he hasn't been given the opportunities really to prove himself in that role.
At Dortmund, yeah. In addition, the terrorist Terzic dislikes the fact that he shows defensive weaknesses. I haven't seen that this season.
We're going to get into that instantly here. Yeah.
Okay. As a result, Gio is considered a departure candidate. Gio parted ways with his agent, and his father is
talking to et cetera, et cetera. Et cetera.
Okay. This is a massive generalization by Otaku. Massive generalization.
So here's the, Terzic said Gio needs to work on his interceptions. Well, but if we scroll down through his defensive statistics alone, I mean, he's doing pretty damn good for himself.
Yeah, I'd say.
He does need to work on. Look at that, interceptions 18. Yowzas.
Okay.
But, Derek, let's compare that. Here's
Julian Brand.
Well, how many interceptions do you have? Oh, 10?
Jeez, that's not very good either.
But let's do also another comparison here. Player versus player.
Exactly. I'm glad people do put the stats out. I'm not a massive stats guy because I don't think stats prove it all.
No, of course not.
But, Terzic's a piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say. And it's not just because I want Gio Reyna to play. It's the way they play now. I used to enjoy watching Dortmund play, even if they didn't win the league, even if they did have a rough time, even though Pulisic didn't get to play every single game except the last 20 minutes. I would watch the whole game because they were fun to watch. They're not fun to watch anymore. They suck. They're conservative.
Yeah.
They're weak in the defense. And even though they sit back a lot, they're still weak in the defense. And it's not a fun team to watch.
To play opposite of stats, I'm having a current back and forth with somebody on Twitter right now, where they basically said, the stats don't tell the whole picture. He's good on the attack, but he's a traffic cone in defense. I'm like, now you're overcorrecting. You're overcorrecting from the going like, oh, look at the stats. He's this much better defense. Well, okay, yes, he's got the numbers, but that doesn't tell the whole picture. But then again, he starts posting up videos of where Reyna wasn't necessarily open field defensive tackles with the U.S. men's national team, where maybe he didn't get the tackle or maybe he got spun around. Like, you know what? I guarantee you, I can go back through those games and I can find instances where he tackled people, he chased them down, he did all that stuff.
Yep.
This is the same argument we had a second ago when we talked about the 15-year-old being a really good player. Well, yes, highlight reels are to indicate that. They're indicating the highlights of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Pointing out a blunder of a player, or not even a blunder, but just he's not a defensive player, but he's not bad defensively.
He's not.
It's boggling my mind, and I feel like people are out there. If you're either looking at the stats, and you're saying, "Look at he's better than this person defensively." Well, that can be true. It depends on where he's played. Because Terzic has been playing him further back of recent, so of course he's going to have more interceptions, more tackles, etc. But then you can't look at just the highlight reels because when you're looking at just the ones where he got spun around in the open field, well, you could go out there and say all those motherfuckers out there are getting spun around too, because you can find highlights of anybody getting spun around.
You can make a highlight tape of just about anybody of their mistakes.
Yeah,
I mean it's ridiculous.
It's stupid. What it indicates is that the people who are arguing against it aren't watching him playing in those.
That's what I was about to say. Watch the fucking games. It's like calling Brooks trash. By the way, and I know people are saying, well, it's just semantics, Derek. And you said he's just sick of saying why. Well, then say something like this. I don't rate him.
Yeah.
Don't call him fucking trash because that's bullshit. If you say, listen, Derek, I just don't rate Brooks. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. You don't rate him. I get it. You don't rate him because of this reason or that. You don't have to give me the whole description. But don't call someone trash. To say that Reyna's a trash defender, for instance, that's a ridiculous thing to think. Did you watch the games? Did that dude, when I asked him how many games he watched of Brooks, he's like, a couple.
Yeah.
You watched a couple games that John Brooks has played this season at Hoffenheim, and you're calling him trash. Then you don't know dick, because a couple games could have been just the 2 games he played poorly, because he's played pretty good for a lot of the season.
Yes, opinion is the one that matters, though. For now,
it does. Yeah, that's it.
Whether Reyna leaves or he resigns, I don't know if Terzic's going to be a long-term in the picture for Dortmund.
Well, I had a little disagreement with Tack today because Tack said that he said the fact that Reyna played in this friendly against Aze recently doesn't mean anything. I would disagree with that. I think if you are Dortmund and you're absolutely open to sending him on loan for the season and getting paid some money for it, then you're not playing him in these friendlies because you don't want to risk an injury. I don't know if it totally means that, but I mean, we've seen teams do that before when they plan to let somebody go. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to give their other guys.
Or it could be a marketing ploy in that sense. Say, hey, check out his most recent performances here.
Nobody watching friendlies, dude, and make any decision based on friendlies. I'm just telling you. So all they're doing right now is A, saying we don't plan to let him go, and B, we're going to keep him fit. And that's all that says to me.
I think Dortmund have all but stated that they want to keep him. And they're trying to negotiate an extension.
Yep.
But Reyna's not up for, in my opinion, this is pure speculation on my part, but Reyna's not going to be up for re-signing if he's not given some guarantees. And how do you make guarantees? The guarantee would be like, Terzic's got to go.
Uh-huh.
So, but I mean, to that point, I mean, they're going to have to do one thing because we talked about this in the previous show where basically Dortmund doesn't want to enter the final year without something decided.
Right.
Whether they're going to sell them, and if they're going to sell them, you better jack up his value as much as possible, or they're going to re-sign him, and you might as well re-sign him now.
Yeah, because these friendlies aren't going to like get anybody to go all of a sudden out of nowhere. You know, that friendly versus Aze, that really proved to me that we should get him on loan. I don't think that. Like everybody knows that he's a quality player. I don't think that's the issue here. It's just what's the loan going to cost, and is Dortmund willing to let him go on loan? And I think the answer so far, for me, this is any indicator. And if we keep seeing him play all the friendlies through this winter transfer window, then they don't plan to let him go. Because if you plan to let him go on loan, then you don't play him because you don't want him to get hurt. I mean,
not only that, if you're planning on loaning him out, you might as well play some other 18-year-old that does 23 consistently. You might as well get him the minutes.
Yeah, might as well get, because they've got other youngsters there that they're starting to play.
So I think he's not going to go anywhere in the winter. I said this before in a different show as well. I don't think he's going anywhere this winter. I think he's going to go somewhere in the summer.
It's sad. If you're a fan of Reyna, you want him to go. But I just don't see it happening right now. And, I don't know how. I do think that having your dad as your agent can be a good thing and a bad thing. Because we know, obviously, his dad is going to try to get Gio, out of there. But if that's what Gio really wants to do, I'm sure that's what he was there to do. Either A, work on, hey, what's going on here? Why is my son not playing? And if you're not going to play him, he wants to leave on loan.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he showed up there. And they might have just told him, hey, bud, we got a contract with him. We don't expect to loan him. We think he's useful for the rest of the season. If he only plays 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a game, it's still 20 minutes a game, and we need him. We need the depth. And right now, it just doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Sorry. I mean,
Not in the
for all
winter.
of us.
Not in the winter.
No.
It's gonna be a summer, most likely. At that
Most
point.
likely. I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
I'm sure Dortmund's hoping that he puts away a couple goals here and pad some stats with the U.S. men's national team as well. And then come summertime, they can crank that back up to like 25 or whatever. But
yeah, they do need to rebuild his worth, his value. And maybe that's what they're thinking. Okay, we're going to play him more in the second half of the season. But I see no evidence of that necessarily, except for the board complaining to Terzic about what they're doing. He's doing to Reyna's worth, which they're not happy about right now. Yeah, the club usually buys players, builds them up, and sells them for bundles of bucks. And it looks like they would have, if they would have sold them a year ago, made bundles of bucks. Now his value is going down.
It'd be one thing if his value was going down and Dortmund was riding up there with contenders for the league. But they're not. They're contending for Europa at this point.
Right.
Maybe Champions League if they find some good form here.
Exactly.
But at that point, the board's sitting there like, well, we're not in contention for winning.
Right.
So why aren't we playing this guy to hope we get better and better? Not better on field, but better value out of him later on.
Yeah, if you're going to lose anyhow, play the youngsters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else we got? We got Forza Juventus saying Juventini. Who are your top 3 players of the season after the first half of the season? Seeing a sea of McKennie answers here is awesome. Yeah, and I hope they're all Italians too. And I hope those guys that used to boo him there are feeling like schmucks.
There are still some people in the chat or in the comment section that basically said anybody but McKennie, stuff like that.
He's fat.
Well, that was definitely more of a Leeds thing. But and going through there, most of it's in English. And this is an English channel, anyways.
Oh, okay.
So almost all of the comments have been English, but yeah, predominantly they're saying it's been like Rabiot, McKennie, and then insert Reyna in third person here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Juventus fan and you've been watching every game, like we have, you absolutely. The only thing I would say about McKennie this season, his only shortcoming has been finishing, because he missed another wide open header this week.
He said four normally would be goals in the last 4 games. Oh my God.
And he's not been as effective on set pieces as he was when he got there the first time. He's not jumping up and hitting those headers in. So
I mean, again, we've talked about this too, although there's definitely an indication where he's positioned sometimes where like they're practicing something particular. Whether he makes the run to the near post to do the slip through or whatever, there's some like normal plan that they've worked out with their set piece coach or whatever. I don't know why. I mean, the guy's 6'1" and he jumps like a 6'4" center back.
I don't think he's 6'1".
He is.
He's 5'10" and a half last I checked.
Last stat I saw, he was.
And I'm just saying that because, well, I used to be 5'11", but now I'm 5'10" and 3/4. And there's a big difference between when my brother shows up.
He's 6 foot.
Okay.
But I mean, what is 6 foot? I mean, at the point
he's an inch taller than me.
Is it 6'3", 6'4"?
He's an inch taller than me. Yeah. But he's a lot shorter than you.
Yeah, by about an inch, give or take.
Yeah, but more than that. I bet you that 6 foot's a little exaggerated. Number one,
it could be an underestimate in that sense, where it's like 6 foot, like 6 foot inches with point whatever, like 0.5.
No, more than likely it's 5'11" and 3/4 or something and a half or something like that.
And I was just looking at what a Google pulled up. Transfermarkt has him at 6'1".
God, he doesn't look that tall to me.
The bulk of the team. Somebody had the tallest, not the tallest. It was the tallest top 10 players in the U.S. men's national team. So they didn't include any of the center backs or anything like that. But 6'1" was the tallest, and I think of the 7 of the top 10 were all 6'1".
Okay.
And then you get a couple players that were like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", that type thing. But
okay, well, if he's 6'1", that's great. He looks more like 5'11" to me, but hey, that's just me.
The random tangent to say that a 6 foot or 6'1" person jumps like a 6'4" defender, but
yeah, I mean, he's still got hops.
Yeah,
regardless if he's 5'11" or 6'1", or somewhere there in between. All right.
While we're talking about players coming back to MLS, I want to talk about a silly MLS rule.
Hopefully, I wasn't too hard on Max. But you know what? Sometimes you have to call it like it is, man. I mean,
that's the thing. I mean, is there a possibility that there's enough money thrown at a player, one of the top players, that they may opt to just move to MLS for the next 5 years and make a stupid sum of money?
Not those three guys.
I don't think those three guys either. I definitely don't think Reyna, because he's still young at this point. He's 21. But the other guys are going to be, like I said, 27, 28 by the time that time period happens. So it just doesn't make any sense.
I would ask Max to look up the word ambition and aspiration, because all three of those guys have those things. So they have no need to go and play in Saudi Arabia or come to MLS. And that whole Saudi Arabia thing's falling apart anyhow.
Let's go over the starting 11 here, a normal starting 11, and let's think who might come to MLS in the next 2 years, because that's what he said after the World Cup.
Turner,
I think Turner. Jedi is how old is Jedi going to be at that point?
No, he's not coming.
I don't think 2 years. I don't think so either. But so I don't think Jedi. Ream could end his career in MLS.
Richards, no.
Des,
hell no. Musa, no. McKinney, no. Reyna, no.
Balogun, no. Weston, no. Weah, no.
No.
So Turner and Ream, right?
Yep.
Horvath has 1 foot into MLS at this point.
And Ream might retire before he comes back to MLS, you know? So
well, I mean, what are the big bucks that MLS pays center backs anyways?
Well,
they're also going to go back to the MLS and play like 1 or 2 seasons for like $300,000.
Right. There was also talk, though, within the Fulham peoples, those of us who are Fulham fans, that Ream would be kept on as assistant coach, defensive coach specifically, and that makes sense too, right?
Yeah.
And that he has ambitions to manage down the road. So we'll see about that.
Good. We need more former players going that route. Everybody can't be a pundit at this point.
Well, that's just a bunch of Fulham fans.
Sure.
Chitter chattering. So just warning you there.
I mean, I'm just saying. We had people like we had Trundle go that route where he went from playing to coaching.
Yep.
And but we right now we have players that are retiring and not doing anything, or players that are being pundits. And I guess when I say that, I'm sure there are former players, obviously through the ranks of MLS and stuff like that, coaching, whether it's youth or whatever. Then you have former players at the youth national team levels that get called in the coach or whatever. But I'm just saying we need more and more former players coaching at this level.
Donovan tried it.
Yeah, he bought half the team and coached too.
Then he coached it, and then he said, "Yeah, I really don't want to do this. I'm gonna let some other guy coach it." And then McBride wanted to coach for a while. I remember him talking about that. And he took some what do you call that, apprenticeships in England, and that just didn't work out. Not everybody's cut out to be a coach. Takes a certain demeanor.
Miazga became a DP when he came to MLS, right? I don't know if it was a DP or not. He might have got paid down with some funny money, yeah.
I thought it was like Tamer Gam.
But aside from that, the difference between Miazga and Ream, because this is in reference to our Ream topic, is that Miazga is about 10 years younger.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
that's a little bit different.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Ream's the hair on Ream's nuts are gray. All right.
Well,
his chest hair is gray. Let's just put it that way.
Talking about Gam, that takes us right into my funny topic to discuss here.
Since he acquired $75,000 in 2024 Gam from Colorado Rapids, FC Cincinnati acquired $75,000. We just said that. Oh, okay. And general allocation money from Colorado Rapids in exchange for the discovery priority for Jordi Mihailovic. What the fuck does that even mean? This is so dumb. So people understand this, and we've explained this on this show here. What's TAM and GAM? Why do we have TAM and GAM? Well, if we didn't have TAM and GAM, all we would have is the current cap as it stands now and DPs. And then, of course, some youth player shit you can get away with. All right? And when the conservative owners at MLS told Don Garber that they didn't want to raise the cap any more than it was already planned, because Garber and a bunch of the other new owners in Portland, Seattle, etc., they wanted to raise the cap. But guess what? Those new owners, they don't have as much power as the old owners. The guy that runs the Revs, the guy that runs Colorado, the original investors in the fucking league have more pull. And so what did Garber do? He said, well, I'm going to make up every time a new club comes in and they pay that $400 million, or now it's up to $800 million, to come in the league. I'm going to use that funny money and allocate it to the teams as TAM and GAM, and they can spend it any way they want. Ha, ha, ha. See, I trick you owners, you conservative owners. So don't blame Garber, because he was just trying to get, and you can blame him for a lot of other things, because I do, but he's just trying to get around. Who's the Rebs fucking owner? That twat. Kraft, that guy who likes massages from Asian women. That guy. Huh?
Said who doesn't?
Oh, Brett. Shirley, don't say things like that. All right. So it was just a way of getting around the Crafts and the other crotchety old fucking owners in the league. So yeah, is it confusing? Is it stupid sounding? Yeah. I mean, Discovery Priority is really stupid. That shouldn't even exist. It
on a player that was in the league a little over a year ago.
Exactly.
So I almost wonder if MLS has at some point, without stating so, kind of combined stupid rules, because this would be more the reallocation rule, a returning U.S. men's national team player back to MLS.
Right.
And that was the thing. Depending on how badly you sucked the year before, would indicate where you are. And unless you're just the worst, it didn't really matter, because like Chicago was always bad for like the last 13 years, but we were never at the bottom of the allocation list for returning players. We had to pay Columbus or somebody some funny money for McBride's rights when he came home.
Right. And same thing with Dempsey. Somebody had to pay his some funny money to somebody for that one, I think.
Whoever the worst team was of the year, yeah.
Or if I remember right, Dempsey actually maybe got to pick the team he wanted to go for. They're like, you get to pick, buddy. But then somebody had to pay somebody something. I thought I don't remember, but yeah, I'm not going to. I mean, discovery rights need to be gone.
There are several rules of MLS that just need to go by. We've talked about this whenever they come up. We joke about game at TAM, but to your point, it's Garber's way of getting around the salary cap.
Right.
But the discovery rights, the
stupid.
The academy rules as far as the radiuses or whatever, all fucking dumb. Any form of list of players coming into the league should just be who the fuck wants them. Who's going to offer the best bid? If Columbus and LA Galaxy have to compete on a transfer for this player and what they're going to pay the player, they should be able to do so.
Right.
It shouldn't matter if Kansas City has the discovery rights for this player. Now you have to pay that team funny money just so you can get the rights to this player who's a well-known player somewhere else around the world. It's so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, bid until someone blinks. But then, what that does and why the conservative owners don't want to go back or have something like that is that means they will have to bid and compete against another team. And if you're LA Galaxy, you're going to have a lot more money than the Colorado Rapids, and you're probably going to be able to bid a whole lot more than the Colorado Rapids. And the Rapids don't like that because they're owned by a crotchety old fucking manager who doesn't want to spend any money, which is why his team sucked for so long. There you go.
Same owners that own Arsenal, right? Kroenke? It's Kroenke, right?
I think it's Kroenke. Stan Kroenke. That funky Kroenke.
But I was gonna laugh because you talked about the amount of money that people are paying in to get into the league. I was like 400 or 500 million for San Diego, and it's going to bounce up to whatever it is, like 800 million or whatever.
800 mil, I believe.
Some stupid amount. Yeah. And I was laughing because my own mother-in-law has been in town for like the last week, and we got her on to watching Ted Lasso. So she's pushing through because she's leaving tomorrow, so she had like 5 more episodes to go through. So it's like hey, just watch 3 tonight, watch 2 in the morning when you wake up, and then you go home. But there, the guy who comes from Ghana, he inherited his dad's money. He wants to buy Sam's contract out to bring him to his team in Africa. That he's gonna bring all these African players back to make the a contender for a top club. They had talked about he had just inherited $1.2 billion from his dad, and they're talking about buying out Richmond FC. And I'm like, okay, well, the funny thing is that 1.2 billion would barely leave you a couple $100 million if you were to join MLS at this point.
Right, exactly.
What? That doesn't make any sense how that works out. Oh my God.
It'll almost leave you nothing because 800 million to get in and another, however, 100 million, 80 million for the stadium. So doesn't leave you much left over after that, does it?
It's insane.
Yeah,
because that was the first thing that popped in my mind when they said that amount of money. I'm like, dude, that'll barely get you an MLS club. How the hell's that working out for a championship division team in England?
Yeah, this is not a billionaires club anymore. This is a billionaires club, i.e., multiple billions to get into MLS.
And I don't see the payout why it's worth it at that point. When you're talking about that much, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know it's tough to see down the road.
I can imagine spending $800 million on almost anything else, and it'd be more worth it.
I mean, it was worth it for the guys who got in early and
100%,
only had to pay $100 million to get in the league. Now their club.
TFC was about that. I think TFC was like $80 million or something like that.
Yeah, and now that club's worth what?
A stupid amount. A stupid amount in comparison to what you paid to get into it. Yes.
Right. It's definitely at least $500,000. So he's made money on the worth of the team, i.e.
I almost wonder at what point will the fee be so crazy that the money going into soccer won't be worth it at that level, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a flood of money going into something like USL or just one of those lower divisions?
I don't think so. Not USL.
I'm just saying something will eventually hit. There'll be a wall to be hit somewhere, I imagine.
There's promotion and relegation, sure. They would go
within that division, yeah.
They would go on by a USL team, but no, there isn't, and so we're not going to have any Wrexhams anytime soon.
I'm just saying though the $20 million you pay to get into USL or where the fuck it is now, would seem almost a better gamble for that person to make at least a tax write-off club than spending the $800 million and getting whatever you get.
Yep. All right. Yep. What else we got? Fuck this issue.
Well, let's get into our actual issue then. We got the top. Let's talk about the top. Do you want to do the top 100? Do you want to do
let's do the top
100?
Let's do the top 100 because I only have one complaint about the top 100. Because a lot of these guys obviously belong here, but if you keep scrolling down and you get to number 30, Rafael Leao, and then you can't find a way to slip Pulisic in. I mean, if Leao's 30, then what's Pulisic? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm really shocked that Kim Min-jae is that high. And he's above Virgil van Dijk. I know Virgil hasn't had the best seasons last season, but Jesus.
Yeah, fucking even Giroud made it.
Giroud is 50, and Pulisic.
He's scoring goals. Somebody posted it like 10 goals, 4 assists, or whatever. And I feel like I can't help but think that some of this is taking the player's history into contention as well.
Yeah, it must. Because
is he considered 50th in the world right now?
I wouldn't think so. No, I think he'd be lower than that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying any of these players aren't good. They're all very, very good. It's excellent.
I think we're going to come across another player here in just a few. Isn't Jimenez in here somewhere? There he is.
No, Santiago Jimenez. You're telling me he's better than fucking Pulisic? I mean, I'm sorry. He hasn't been when he's played for the national team. His national
barely played for the national team.
Right. He doesn't even get to play. He's not valued there. But whatever. He's Mexican, so he gets on. But an American? Nah.
What was Lukaku doing over at Roma?
Yeah, he's doing all right. But Roma are having sort of that, it's a tough season for them.
I wonder if that's more of another
legacy.
Take a look at his legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a good season, but he's been a great player his entire career.
Well,
so.
what explains Santiago Jimenez then?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I mean, they must just rate him. That must be his transfer market value or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's how they're doing it.
How you get on here. I mean, I wouldn't complain that much, but I mean, it would be nice to see,
I honestly can't believe that Jimenez made it over Davies.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Davies playing a bigger league for the top team.
It's not like he plays for fucking Feyenoord. And yeah, I get it. They finished first last season. And yes, he had a good season. But I don't think he's proven it in a league where I can go, oh, yeah. No, that's just based on projection more than anything else. Anyhow, I wouldn't have complained if Pulisic would have come in at like 98 or 99. At least he would have been on there somewhere. Yeah, that's pushing it. Yeah, come on. It's just good player, but he's gone other places and failed. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I mean, it would have been. I think you probably could. The players we highlighted. I feel like if you took them out and you replaced some other players, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Pulisic not necessarily making a top 100, but some of the players on here, I'm just like, really?
And they're also mixing pears, apples, and oranges here. Like, how do you rate a defender or a goalie versus a striker? Like, how are you mixing all this up? I mean, maybe this whole thing would make more sense if you had like the top 100 attacking players, the top 100 midfielders, the top 100 defenders, and like the top 50 goalkeepers, or just the top 50 of everything.
Maybe I know. Maybe I'm taking his legacy into account here. So we can't have you can't have legacy players who are having okay seasons, and then having a player who has a legacy of being crap.
It's like if all it took was the fact that Morata's playing good this season, well, what about all the seasons he didn't play well and wasn't an impact player at other teams? Like, that seems like Pulisic's getting punished because he just got to AC Milan, yet Morata's getting rewarded because he's just got to Atletico Madrid and is making a difference and having a good season, as BMR says. I think that's hypocritical, if I can put it that way. And I get it. Theo Hernandez is a great player. I mean, and he's versatile. Now he's playing center back for fucking AC Milan because they're out of center backs, and he's doing well. But hasn't Pulisic been a bigger impact player? Not the whole season, but I mean, if Lau's at 30th, wouldn't that just you say, well, Lau's been good, but he's not been that much better than Pulisic. He really hasn't been. You could actually make an argument that Pulisic's been more impactful overall in the whole season for AC Milan because he's been healthy the whole season and he's been playing the whole season and he's getting assists, lots of them. I don't know. I'm not going to, it is The Guardian. That is a UK paper. I don't expect them to ever give one of our guys a cheap, cheap look.
Like I said, I could see a top 100 with no Americans in it at all. Sure. But we're making an argument for at least one. Just one. Just one. We're not sitting there like, well, this player, and this player, and this player, and this player. No, we're just saying, Pulisic's having a hell of a season with AC Milan right now. He got screwed over at Chelsea, sure. He's been great for the United States national team. He was good in the World Cup. I mean, it depends how far back we're going when we're talking about rating these players.
Right.
But again, you could have the 100 without him in there, which is perfectly fine. But I think there were a couple players who were sitting there going like, really?
Yeah, I don't get it. I'd like to see all of the people that made this decision. It was a panel, I'm guessing, of people at The Guardian. There's some experts they brought in, or so-called experts. So I don't know. I'm not complaining about it. It just seems some of it's a little funny to me. Some guys are getting breaks who had poor seasons prior but are having a good one now, which would also describe Pulisic. Had not such a great time at Chelsea. Now he's at AC Milan. He's having a great year, but Murata gets a break because he's playing at Atletico Madrid and he's not American. All right.
I always found it strange how much Juve went into trying to sign him. I'm sitting there going like, why?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. He might work better in the Juve system now than he did when he played there. Because they play kind of Atletico Madrid terrorist ball. Now, Juve. They don't play the same kind of ball they used to play going back. All right. And then we got one more thing to cover, and that is Gregg's. It might.
Well, yeah. We got Gregg, and then we're going to talk about the roster itself.
Shit. We're going to squeeze this into 10 minutes. We'll start out with the first question here from Henry Bushnell. And all we need is the question.
Gregg, appreciate your time. Sorry to start off with a question unrelated to the January roster, but I think this is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you since U.S. Soccer chose the site for the Atlanta Training Center.
Okay.
I know it's something you talked about a while back, just the concept of a national training center. But I'm wondering, how involved, if at all, were you in just like the talks around that? And B, like
none.
Probably years down the line, how would you envision the men's national, the senior men's national team using that facility?
What do you mean? They're going to have fucking orgies at it, motherfucker. What do you mean how they're going to, you envisions they're going to use it? They're going to play fucking soccer on it. What the fuck is that? What are we talking about here? And Gregg's got time to waste to negotiate the deals. That's not even his job.
How much input did you put in to pick out this spot just outside of Atlanta? What do you mean? Arthur had more say than you did? Oh, sure.
Gregg only had one thing. His only input is that he wanted the grass to be green. That's it.
He's a fucking coach of the national team. He's not making any decisions outside of the coach of the national team.
Yeah. If I hear another fucking question about facilities that they use, remember when they were in St. Louis and they were like, hey, Gregg, how do you like the St. Louis facilities?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great being here. It's a great facility. We really like it. What is he going to say? Your facilities suck dick.
Fluff question, yeah.
Your facilities suck cock and dick. And then no, he's not going to say that. But guess what? This gets to set up Gregg so he gets to praise who? Cindy. And our good friend Cindy and
JT,
right? So it's a setup question.
We're never going to be welcomed in with open arms at USSF, are we?
Well, I'll tell you what, Gregg does give some good answers into some of this. Like he wakes up the motherfuckers here on a few of these. We will skip the Stephen Goff question, which is good. Stephen Goff actually asked a really good question, which was, how come you didn't get any guys from Europe? And he said, well, we tried. We tried to get Griffin Yao, and we tried to get Puxas to come to this, and their clubs both turned us down. Okay, good. That's a good question from Stephen Goff. At least he asked a legit question. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go into the part because, we're already so late in this, where Paul Tenario asks about, how's the pool players changed since like 8 years ago or wherever. And then Berhalter gives MLS a massive blowjob while snuggling their nuts. Maybe it was he gave him a rusty trombone and said, oh, yeah, man, we couldn't do this whole Camp Cupcake without MLS. So I really want to thank them for this. What? They should be thanking you. You're the one giving these players a shot.
Exposure to the world, yeah.
Tom Tannenwald asked about Brandon Vasquez, and Gregg just says simply, man, he's got shit to think about. He's going to Monterrey, and we didn't pick him. Okay, I can live with that. We've seen him, he said. We've seen him. I didn't pick him. And then he goes on to make excuses about how hard it's going to be to play Slovenia. Even though it's their B team against our B team. Let me see here. Oh, here's the good one.
I don't know if I'd say this would be a B team, but okay.
1307. Gregg just says, hey, wake the fuck up, dude. And it's a question about Cade Cowell from Ryan Talmadge.
Hi, Greg. I wanted to ask about Cade Cowell. Obviously, this is someone that's been brought around.
Real quickly, I do want to say I like how the background is alive.
Yeah.
And you can see it breathing the entire time I play here.
It fucked with my eyes sometimes. I'm like, what's going on? Why are my eyes so bleary?
Yeah, this whole thing, this whole presser, because this is on US Soccer's YouTube page. This looks like it's taken like somebody held a webcam up against an iPad.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at right here.
Well, listen to this guy, Ryan Talmadge, give Cade Cowell a mini rusty trombone.
Brought up through the ranks over the last few years, going from the U20s, now got a taste of the senior team really last year. So it seems like this is going to be a pretty big year for him. So I just wanted to ask where you kind of see him and what things he needs to work on and where you kind of see him figuring as you enter this year, where he could kind of go in different directions with the Copa America or the Nations League, the Olympics, all these different tournaments.
All of those things. Copa America too. Wow. This guy really thinks Cade Cowell. Cade Cowell, this guy thinks extremely high. Sorry, Ryan.
He's going to Nations League. He's going to the Olympics, and he's going to Copa America. All of them.
I mean, it's like, has this guy been watching? Did he watch MLS last season? Did he watch Cade Cowell when every team had figured out he's a one-trick pony and he couldn't score and he couldn't get any assists? So you're all worked up about this, Ryan? Come on, Ryan. You've been doing this long enough now, dude. You should not be asking questions that basically, tossing fucking Cade Cowell's salad, all right? And then having to be shut down by Greg, which is awesome. Greg didn't fuck around with this. Let Greg speak.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get ahead of ourselves here. With Cade, it's an example of he has a ton of potential. He's a great teammate. He has experience with the senior national team. But now it's also about him applying this in every day. For his club, becoming a starter, becoming a high performer on his team.
There we go. High performer on the team. He's basically saying...
Go ahead and spitball off this real quick. I've got a...
shit, dude. All right.
Spitball.
All right. Fuck it. Anyhow, yeah. So Greg goes on basically and says, listen, this dude's not a high performer. He said he needs to be a high performer on a team, which is just like saying he isn't a high performer on his team, which he isn't. And then Greg's like, don't get ahead of your fucking self, which is great because he's basically shutting down this salad tossing fucking question on Cade Cowell. Like, there's no need to be fluffing up Cade Cowell, and Greg just lets him know. I think you're fluffing this guy too much. You're getting way ahead of yourself. He's not even a great player for his club team, so he needs to start there and do that. You're talking about Copa America? Copa America? Cade Cowell, Copa America? Seriously? All right. And then we move on, and we had another guy ask about various players. So we had people ask about James Sands and Jack McGlynn and Josh Atencio being on the lineup. All fine questions. They asked about Kamungo. They asked about Kafari. They asked Greg to give a blowjob to all the MLS clubs that were producing great youth players. And then, Donald Wine asked another fucking question about Cade Cowell and Vasquez. So that's 2 questions each on both of those guys. Jake Fenner asked about Olympic tryouts, and Bill Dennison asked about Cincinnati's Ian Murphy, who is going to be lucky unless they play a back three, which they probably will play a back three next season, because he ain't going to start over Matt Miazga, and he ain't starting over fucking Miles Robinson. So this was actually exactly right, Jesse. A good Greg answer. This was like, hey, dude, I don't know whose dick you're stroking here, but I'd say put away the Vaseline because you're stroking too hard. Okay?
Yeah. It wrote something raw there, man.
Yeah, so that's now the real problem with this whole fucking interview is that exactly, Jack, no one asked about Guti or Brady. Nobody said, hey, kind of weird that Gutierrez didn't make the team and Brady didn't make the team. They seemed like guys that were high on the list to make this squad, and they didn't make, not a single one of these motherfuckers asked that question. And I'm sure they're not all motherfuckers. We know some of these motherfuckers, right? and some of them are good guys. But how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, how 15 guys can ask questions? No, 22 guys can ask questions and not a single person go, hey, what's going on in Chicago? Were they not released? Or did they just say no? Or did you not call them up? Nobody asked this? Brian Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is a better player than Josh Atencio, in my fucking opinion.
Well, and obviously I know that a lot of people were high up on Luna and his performance, especially late in the season. But Guti had a better season as a whole, played more minutes. You know, just as a whole, played a better season in a very similar role. And I'm not comparing the two. I would love to have both those players on the roster, but let's clear up the water. The water is incredibly murky at this point. Why? If it was a Gregg issue, as far as I know, I didn't call him up. Then that's on Gregg.
Right.
But if he could clarify and just simply say, hey, we talked to Chicago. They asked, the preseason's going to be starting. We want to make sure we start on the right foot, so we just didn't call him up. Then that's still on Gregg, quite frankly. But Chicago has the right to say no. It's their choice. I won't agree with it if that's the case.
But I want to know. I want to know that those sad sacks of shit in Chicago, I want to know if they said no. Because if they said no, then they are even bigger sad sacks as losers shit than they are. They're a bunch of fucking losers. And I want to know that because I need context. Because if Gregg didn't call up these two guys that are very promising players that really seem to fit into what he wants to do with this camp, and you're not going to ask about it? Nobody's brought it up. No one in the fucking media, not in the press. And then some guy said to me, well, why didn't you ask them? Because they won't let me come to the meetings. And if I go to these meetings, just like Pete, they're not going to let me ask any questions. So what point is it for me to go to these conferences by phone or by Zoom, excuse me? Doesn't make any difference. They're not going to let me ask my question. I could call up Brian. I guess I could call up Stephen Goff and say, hey, dude, can you ask this question for me next time? Because I'm just really don't understand what's going on here.
Or maybe we need to talk to some of the people in the industry that we know and say, hey, what are you hearing that you guys can't ask and publicly state? Because we'll happily say that shit. We burned our bridges.
Yeah, I mean, I could have texted Brian and just asked him, hey, nobody asked this, but do you know anything about what happened to Brady and Guti? And he'll tell me, but he might not know, and he did not ask, so we don't know. But, it's not like Shredder didn't ask a very good question, because he did, because he talked about the overage player rules for the Olympics and which players, has he started planning for which players are going to fill those overage spots. And guess what? He didn't answer the question. He didn't even answer the question because Shredder asked a two-part question. He asked about that, then he asked about Kamungo. And he answered the Kamungo question and totally just ignored the whole, have you started planning on who the overage players are going to be yet? He ignored that question completely. Maybe not on purpose, but it seemed like it. It seemed like he ignored it on purpose.
Well, I guess it's a hot topic because there's going to be some overage players that want to play in the Olympics that won't get released from their clubs.
Right.
Maybe Gregg doesn't want to ruffle the feathers in that sense, and we're just not going to give him a call up. Maybe that's just the topic he doesn't want to address. But I'll grant him the benefit of the doubt. He's answering, you said, like 13 or 15 questions here. It's almost a 30-minute interview process. Yeah, if he misses one and they don't press on it, then it is what it is.
Right. And it's Zoom, so they shut him off after they're done answering the question. So it's not like Brian
was sitting there like, Gregg,
you didn't answer my question. We got to have Brian back on. I think it's been a year and a half now. So, or Meg. Got to get Meg on, but she wasn't in this one. So she's covering something else right now. Let's go ahead and skip to the roster he actually picked. We've covered all the things I wanted to.
All right, we're going with this presser.
Yeah, Pete, by the way, sorry we stole your slides. I hope you don't mind.
I do.
You do.
I hope he minds. I hope he minds.
We don't have time to make these slides.
These are officially our slides. We made them.
Let's not lie. Pete, thank you for making these slides. We appreciate it. So the keepers are fine. I don't really have a complaint except for I want to know why Brady's not here. That's it. That's all I want to know.
The big question will be which player are you removing for Brady?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But if he wasn't picked, I mean, certainly you're not bringing Drake Callender, are you, as the overedge player?
That's who I would drop.
You would have to. So you just bring a bunch of young goalkeepers. That would have been nice. Because I don't think you're going to use one of your overage spots at the Olympics for your goalkeeper. I don't think that's where you use an overage spot.
No, again, when you have somebody like Brady or hell, I mean, the other two, Patrick and Roman, both have experience in MLS as well. Why would you waste an overage spot on goalkeeper?
Yeah, so there's no point in Drake being here.
Nope, outside of the fact that Gregg's called him up recently, I guess.
Yep, did the nut nuzzle with him, so they're best buddies. I don't know. All right, next one is the fullbacks at 417. By the way, I just have to say, this list, although odd, I didn't think it was like a lot of people are calling it the worst shit they've ever seen. But keep in mind, this is an all MLS team. It's not going to look like anything else. So it's going to have some bumps on it. It's some bruises. And I expected that. I just think calling up a motherfucker like Shaq Moore so he can vie for Death's backup spot, which is a total fucking hard joke, right, Berhalter? So Gregg did say something stupid recently.
Was that happen? I'm sure, yeah.
And that was, we're bringing. Well, we're going to check out some Shaq Moore. Check him out.
Just from the recency experience, would you rather have DeJuan Jones backing up in that open spot, or would you rather have Shaq Moore?
DeJuan Jones.
I'd rather have DeJuan at this point.
Yes, no doubt about it. And I don't know why Shaq Moore is here unless, as my brain tells me, they wanted one guy at each of the roles to be a veteran. All right. They wanted one guy who knows how practice goes, who now knows how the camp is run for each of the positions. So they got one older guy in Calendar for the goalkeepers. They got one older guy here for the fullbacks in Moore. He can't call in Cannon.
No. Vying for the Nations League spot for Dest.
Oh,
why would you consider more when you have somebody like Reynolds or Cannon?
Cannon or Fossey
playing, in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, maybe Gregg doesn't know who Fossey is.
I mean, really think about what the Nations League is. What, in March, or is it May?
Doesn't matter.
No, it kind of does matter, because if it's March, all the MLS players, including Shaq Moore right here, will be in early preseason form. Whereas people like Cannon, and you can make the argument, more Cannon. It's splitting hairs. If I had to take between the two, I'd probably take Cannon, I guess. But it's again splitting hairs there.
Yeah.
Cannon's going to be in prime form because he's been playing all season. Plus, he'll be 2 or 3 months into it after the winter break here. Shaq Moore will be in preseason form.
Cannon might have self-banned himself with that interview.
True, that's 100% accurate. Yeah.
So Reynolds for sure. Why not? Right? As the replacement for Dest for one game. And why do you need to replace Dest? You've got fucking Scally. Why are we considering Shaq Moore? Is Scally going to break his leg?
Well, we need a backup just in case.
Well, I'm sure somebody else could fill in that role in a fucking whim. I mean, I don't know.
Hey, I'm not saying let's play a wing back or anything like that, but Way actually plays that relatively kind of that role.
You could.
In a pinch.
Yep. So the only thing is, this is not the veteran player I would have brought in, Shaq Moore. I would not have brought in Shaq Moore. I would have figured out some way to get somebody else here. And isn't DeJuan Jones, been capped 7 times. Oh, yes, right there. So isn't that enough for him to be sort of the 26-year-old older guy who's been to 7-6 camps?
Well,
or 3 or 4 camps?
Gold Cup plus 1 camp, I believe.
Okay, 2 camps. That's enough. That's enough. You don't really need Shaq Moore here to hold these guys' cocks while they play. They know how to play fucking soccer. They know how camps work. What, you're a leader? Greg, you be the leader. You tell them how camps work. They don't need Shaq Moore there to be the example.
You know what's funny is that a lot of people are obviously they don't rate Tolkien. There's a large number of people on Twitter that don't rate Tolkien. And I'm kind of in the line to agree to an extent. Like I haven't been blown away. Mind you, this last season when he had 4 goals and 11 assists.
He had a great MLS
That
season.
was a great. He warrants the call up here.
Yes.
Will he be a contender for a spot moving forward? He's 21. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, that was a hell of a fucking season for a left back or right back, whatever the fuck he is. Left back, right?
Left back, yeah. No, it's great. Left backs are not a dime a dozen, so it's important to keep an eye on John Tolkien, especially with the rumors with him possibly going to Europe. Same thing with Caleb Wiley, because he's fucking stalled completely out there at Atlanta. I don't see any development there. This last
season, he had 4 goals and 4 assists this season.
Yeah. I mean, I think Caleb Wiley is the kind of player that has a higher ceiling here, and if he just hangs out at Atlanta for much longer, I mean, he's 19 now. He can go to Europe. Nathan Harriel, I remember watching a lot, maybe 6 Philadelphia games this season. I don't remember this kid. So
he had 4 goals, 0 assists. He played 2,716 minutes.
Harriel?
Yeah. It must have been a consistent right back for them.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't notice. Which is, I don't have any complaints because at least he's Olympic eligible. So why would I complain about it? And DeJuan Jones is fine. But for me, DeJuan Jones should have been the veteran guy holding down.
So,
he should have brought somebody else in for Shaq.
I was about to ask that. Who would we possibly bring in over Shaq at this point?
I don't know.
There's got to be another MLS Olympic qualified
right back. There's got to be a younger kid who could have come in here and learned some stuff. I don't know. But Shaq Moore, come on. I just listen. I got nothing. He's a nice guy. Sure, he smells like tulips or whatever. But him being a nice guy and all that and having a great scent aren't important, especially if we're looking towards the Olympic roster. How about somebody from USL? Well, let me know. Who?
There could be there have been a number of Olympic age, like the 17, 18, 19-year-olds that went the USL route so they can go to Europe once they hit 18. I don't know if there's anybody in those ranks.
I don't either.
That fit that mold. Somebody who's been with the U17s and U20s and stuff like that.
I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we could find somebody to play another back position. I just don't have one in my mind right now.
I can't go off. I can't go off.
I just saw Shaq Moore and it just set me off, basically. Sorry. But the rest of it is fine with me. So again, we looked at the goalkeepers, mostly fine. Look at the fullbacks, mostly fine, except for Shaq Moore. I don't know what people are expecting from this list, frankly. Center backs.
Real quick. Jogo's not going to get released for this week.
No. Jogo is not getting released. No way.
Where is Cuevas playing? I mean, I know that there's a
maybe.
I know we covered this earlier. Somebody in Mexico is buying for him, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would take that. I'd be fine with that.
I like his performance in the 20s, the qualifiers. I remember. So
I'd be fine with that, and he's Olympic qualified, which Shaq Moore is not, unless you're going to bring him as an overage player. You better not. Better not. Yes, you better not bring him as the overage player. Ian Murphy, again, this guy's getting looks because they played and had a good season with their MLS club teams. But, I mean, I would have picked Matt Miazga. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want Matt Miazga here because we've got enough experience with Robinson and Sands, who've both been to multiple camps. So you got your experience there. Because, honestly, at 24 – and this Jackson Reagan kid at 25, they're both serviceable center backs. I'm not saying they're not, but I just don't.
Shit, I mean, I didn't take into consideration this, but I mean, we didn't take a look at any of our
None.
Center backs. I mean, I know Neil's out injured. He just had surgery.
He's injured.
I know Craig had a horrible loan to Austin.
Yeah, that was bad.
And it would have been a rough call up. I mean, they're going to have to call somebody at center back, and maybe the center back positions are all going to be filled up from players abroad.
Yeah,
get released.
I mean, you could make the argument Craig didn't deserve it. He didn't play. But a lot of these guys, getting a look, but they're not youngsters. I mean, fucking Jackson Reagan's already 25. Tafari's already 26. I didn't even know he was that old. Fucking shit.
The one thing I will say about the center back, all the center backs here is that they're all experienced. They all are starters for the club. So
yeah, and they all had at least decent seasons. Like Ian Murphy had an okay season playing next to Miazga, right?
Well, clearly.
Yeah. Although certainly Miazga canceling himself from the final games of the season in the playoffs hurt the team.
Yeah.
So maybe that's another reason you don't bring Miazga on. You don't need that.
No, we know why he's not included.
He's a hothead. They don't
want him. He's burned that Berhalter bridge.
No, because he's been back since. So
was he?
Yes. Yep. He's been back since.
Never mind. Maybe yeah.
No, he's been called up since. So it's not the bridge has been mended. But yeah.
So maybe just giving a couple new guys a look, I guess.
I mean, if you can tell me who else the youngsters here, we can't pick Jalen Neal, who should be here, but he's got a massive, had just had sports hernia surgery, which is a really bad injury to have at his age. Super bad. As we all know, that can be a mystery. Like, how many surgeries did fucking, when he was younger, did Adams have to have at Leipzig before that actually healed up? I think it was three separate surgeries. So let's hope that doesn't happen to Jalen Neal. Some people said Josh Winder. I mean, I don't know. Greg didn't say he even asked or inquired about Josh Winder, who is obviously rotting away there in Portugal. So, and I say that because Josh Winder is playing for the youth teams. And here's how many games. There have been 36 games he's been eligible to play, and he's not injured. Okay, over there in Portugal. He's played 6 games. 6 out of 36 games. He should be killing it for their U21 team. He should be starting every game. What's going on over there in Portugal? What the fuck is going on? And then again, you can make the argument, well, Winder didn't earn it. He doesn't play. He doesn't play for his club team. That's why we didn't ask him. So Greg could have said that. He wasn't asked. Nobody asked about Winder. Again, another guy nobody asked about.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's obvious people that you were supposed to ask, but I can see them not asking about him.
What, just out of sight, out of mind?
Yeah, pretty basically, yes.
Well, and also the second question of the whole interview was, how come you didn't bring anybody from Europe? And he said, well, I asked about these 2 guys and they didn't want to go. So that kind of answers the question. He didn't even ask about Winder.
Yeah.
Like he didn't inquire. So anyhow, I don't know what people are expecting, but this is, I mean.
Here's the question I will ask about the center backs here. James Sands is listed as a center back, but did he not predominantly play more of a D mid for New York?
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And Zimmerman's injured, so just getting that out there.
Okay.
That's why he's not there.
I'm fine with him not being here. I'm fine with taking a look at some new faces, but because what are we gonna learn with a Zimmerman Robinson pairing at center back?
Nothing.
It's the same stuff we already know.
Right.
But at least we get to look at one of the other 3 here, because again, I think Sands may be contending for the 6 role.
Yeah. So Miles is there probably to be the leader, and the rest are there. Well, James Sands there to be deputy leader, and the rest are to learn. And we're not going to learn much because none of those guys at their age already are really going to turn into anything. Because if you're 26, 27, like let's say Tafari is, and you're a center back, and you're at FC Dallas, you're not going anywhere.
Nope.
How
far would our center back pool need to go in order for them to be in contention.
Exactly. People would need to die on a planes. Like, we'd have to be falling from the sky, and guys would be dying left and right because those guys have no hope at their age. Sean Zawadsky. Yeah, this is one of those things where I guess he was on there with Aiden Morris. Columbus Crew were the winners. So you just say, yeah, how about that guy? He was playing pretty good in that final. Aiden Morris definitely deserves to be here. I think he's earned it. He was one of the best players on that Columbus Crew team all season long.
Well, and not only that, but he's been called up to previous games anyway, so it makes sense. Is he Olympic eligible? I mean, I know he's 22 right now. But
yeah, he is. Yeah, and if he isn't, he's probably going to end up being one of the overage guys. If he is,
I would see that happening. Yeah.
So he's not making it any more than this is going to be a ceiling, unfortunately, for the U.S. I know he's only 22, but I've not heard of any interest from Aiden Morris about going abroad and challenging himself and getting his game to another level and raising his soccer IQ or making quicker decisions in tight spaces. Because he had a great season here in MLS, which shows he's one of the better American center midfielders in MLS. So I'm fine with him being here as long as he doesn't make the U.S. national team, unless he earns it, which he hasn't earned it. Aiden Morris was the best American MLS player this year. Yeah, I'd say he's got to be up there. We joke about Brian White because people don't know who the fuck Brian White was, but he had the most goals and assists this season than any other American player. The problem is he's almost 30. So, but we'll get to that later. Atencio, he just started playing at the end of the season and winning that starting spot for Seattle. So I'm a little bewildered by that pick, but I'll live with it because he's young and he's of Olympic age.
He's 21. He got about 2,053 minutes.
Yeah,
2 goals, 2 assists.
Jack McGlynn's still not an everyday starter for Philadelphia, more of a rotation guy.
Yeah, but he's got, again, I guess I have to take a look because Aiden Morris had just shy of 3,500 minutes for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that probably consists of playoffs as well. Jack's got just shy of 2,900 minutes.
Yeah,
so he's playing a significant chunk. He just may not necessarily be a consistent starter.
Well, how about this? A consistent contributor. But he's 20, so I'm not complaining, and I liked him on the youth squad. So bring him. I mean, he's a big boy, and he'll work it out. I don't.
Are there in this regular season? I forget.
What's that?
How many games are there in regular season?
Oh, Jesus, somewhere in the 30s. I don't remember anymore.
It's like 36, I think.
I'm going to skip over to Aziel Jackson because I can only remember him in one game this season.
Real quick, going back to McGlynn real quick. He's if it's 36 games, I'm not sure if it is 36. I think it is though. He's averaging 79 minutes a game.
Well, that's pretty good. So he is a consistent player.
That could also be playoffs as well included. So
I don't know.
I mean, that may not necessarily be 36 games. It might be like 42 in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, and does that also count all the league cups?
34 games apparently.
All the league
exactly.
cups and all that.
That's
shit?
A great point too. That could be league cups as well.
Because literally, I believe that they counted it up for some of the teams. They played over 50 games this season, over 55 games this season. Some of them.
So that obviously would dim him down, which is what you were saying.
Yeah,
he's not a consistent contributor throughout the season.
Yeah, it's just like every time I would watch them play, the young guys would come off the bench. So maybe I just missed all the games that he started. Aziel Jackson, I can only remember one game I've ever watched him play. He's not super young. He's 22 years of age. I guess he's got potential, but he's Olympic age, so I'm not going to complain. And I'm not exactly sure what Timothy Tillman's on this, why he's here, but I don't mind it, I guess. He started off with a bang at LAFC and then slowly fizzled out as the season went on for LAFC. So, he guess he'll play the CAM role or something. I don't know. Don't know.
Aziel Jackson had a relatively decent season. I mean, he had 4 goals, 7 assists.
There you go. I went through
and I pulled up all the stats. The only reason I've got these readily available.
I've only heard good things about him.
Yeah.
So I only have seen him play once. Isn't really much, right? So I can only go by what people say, and of course, St. Louis got folks love him. So, and they had a pretty good season.
Not bad for starting season.
Right. This next will be 1040, which is the attacking forwards or wide forwards. Listen, good. This is good because Pete nailed it here. If anybody thinks Diego Luna's playing center attacking midfield in this setup that we're going to do, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. We're going to play a 4-3-3. We're going back to standard Gregg 4-3-3, which means what? Luna's going to get pushed out wide. Yeah. We're not going to get to see him play in his central role, in a central role, because he doesn't really play out for RSL either. Right?
Not only that, he's generally played out left for the most part, from what I've seen.
Yes.
So he's going to be competing with Cade. I mean, Cade could play out right, but still.
He wouldn't be able to cut in and do his signature move if he plays outright.
Exactly, that's my point. I mean, Diego probably could play outright, no problem. But I could see where Cade starts over Diego, and Diego doesn't. He comes in late in the game or something like that.
Sorry, Luna should be listed as a midfielder and not a forward. This is not Pete's fault. This is how he's been listed on the lineup as a forward. Mm-hmm. So. That means they're going to push him out wide, Brett. That we're going to play a standard old school Gregg Berhalter 4-3-3, which is shit. By the way, it's shit. And every time we play it, it's shit. But instead, we could be playing a 4-2-3-1 and have Diego sit behind the striker. That would be really awesome to see him playing center attacking midfield where he belongs to play. But we're not going to get to see that because Gregg's in command. And Gregg is going to go back to his standard 4-3-3 because he hasn't got a chance to see it with these guys, whereas he had Hudson and DJ show him how it was done. All right? So he had to relent and go, okay, double pivot it is.
Gregg truly believes that as well as most of modern football for the most part, but the position, the 10 itself, is non-existent.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's most American managers believe that. Most American managers don't play a 10. And yeah, there are plenty of other teams that don't as well. You're right. A lot of European fuckers don't do it either. Mm-hmm. They don't play 10s anymore, which is just ridiculous. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, Reyna doesn't get to play a 10 at Dortmund. Very rarely does he get to play that position or what looks to be that position.
Yeah.
So Diego Luna's going to be squeezed out wide like he is with this dumb fucking RSL manager who also pushes them out wide. Sorry if I'm breaking down bridges or burning bridges there with some coaches that we're never planning to interview or have on the show anyhow, so it doesn't matter.
If you want interviews like that, this is not the show for that.
Yeah. Barjahar Kavarovich. That name is just ridiculously long.
We'll just call him Esmir.
Bajra Klarvarit. Fuck it. I give up.
Keep adding an L in there.
I know. Well, it looks like there's an L in there. What's that after the
K?
A
T.
Wow. Let's just call him Esmir.
Echo.
Or Bajra for short. I'm sorry, but my whatever.
Bajra Tervich?
I believe he's of the same ancestry as Pulisic, but Pulisic is way easier to say.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's fine. He's 18. He's sort of a little bit of a mystery still, highly touted in New England. My question, here's one that we forgot to bring up in the midfielders, Brett. I'm sorry, because we talked about Guti, but no Obed Vargas.
Yeah, that was the chat. The chat's all saying, like, where's this guy?
Ben Kramashi. Ben Kramashi.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that at the very beginning of the show, and I didn't want to bring it up because obviously we were nowhere near this topic yet.
Noel Buck.
Well, that makes sense, I guess.
New England just that that guy here, Esmir, reminded me of Noel Buck. Where's Noel Buck?
My guess is, he's still leaning into the England.
No, he's not. He gets a call up from us, he will come. He's not leaning into England. He's taking it.
I don't need to know about his personal life there, Derek. Come on.
He's taking the England call-ups because he's not getting any from us. So what, we stick it to him a little more? Stick it to you a little more, Noel Buck. Yeah, fuck. That's what they're doing. Fuck Noel Buck. Fuck him. We're not calling up for this either. All right. So I really don't have any comment about Bernard Kamungo except that he ended the season pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Contributed some goals, some assists. He's under the Olympic
8 goals, 7 assists.
Yeah, he's under the Olympic age. He looks like he could. I mean, but what do you expect? This is an all MLS lineup, so at least the guy's under 23. So I'll take it. Like all of these players are under 23. I'll just take it. This is fine. I can live with it. I'm not bitching.
Yeah.
All right. One more is the forwards. Oh boy, this is where everybody went berserko. But what did you expect?
Really? Why? Oh, because no Ferreira, no Vasquez?
Yeah, but what did you expect? I mean, listen, I understand you saying, well, Brian White has no reason to be here. That's what Pete said. There's no reason to have him on here. Well, who else are you going to have? Vasquez.
This is the whole point of the Camp Cupcake, right?
Right. Who else are you going to bring in? Vasquez is off to Monterrey. All right. Ferreira, we've seen plenty of Ferreira. We don't need to see any more Ferreira. We've seen plenty of Vasquez. Plenty. The whole point of this camp is not to win the game, I don't think. It's to see as many new guys as we can, even if they're 20-7. Because, by the way, strikers, this guy, Brian White, could have another 5 or 6 years still left to play. I mean, how long did our good buddy Wondolowski play? Almost till he was 40, right?
Hopefully, if Brian gets called in 2026, he doesn't flub up like Wando did.
I mean, Brian White earned it. He earned this call-up. Why are we bitching about Brian White? I don't care that he plays at Vancouver. Nobody watches those games.
He's 1 year older than Vasquez, and people are holding Vasquez up.
Why are we Pete, why are we losing our shit on Brian White? Who else are you going to pick? Find me a younger forward who's eligible and can come. It has this Ferreira. We've already seen him.
I know we've already seen him. I'm just saying he's Olympic qualified, and he's a young striker that Greg knows.
But that's not the point of this whole roster. This roster is to see new guys. You only have a few.
Hey, I'm not bitching about Brian White right now. I'm perfectly fine with this call.
I know you're not, but I am talking to Pete, losing his fucking mind about Brian White.
An interesting one. I would like to have him back up. If anything, as one of the wide options.
I mean, you could have done Vasilev and Gio Caccini, right? Vasilev could have been one of the wide guys. Gio Caccini could have been one of these forwards, and he's a former guy that used to play on the actual big boy team.
Yeah, get rid of
Duncan
Moore. Get rid of Moore and just bring in Gio Caccini.
Well, that leaves you one center back or fullback short, but
we have 4. We have 5 wing backs.
Yeah, you only need 4 fullbacks, so I don't know why we're bringing.
There's only
5.
one game, right?
Right.
Like only one team. We don't even need 4. We'd be fine with 3. DeJuan Jones can play both right and left back. Whatever. There's reason you can get around this shit.
This is more about the camp than the game, though, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't have any problem with Brian White. I would have rather seen Gio Caccini. I agree. I'd take Gio Caccini, but who scored more goals this season, Brian White or Gio Caccini? Brian White did. He did.
Real quick, I'll come back to you, Al.
Gio Caccini. Yes, I know. We've been talking.
I keep saying Gio Caccini as well. So yeah.
Gio Caccini. Mm-hmm. Al Weinstein, 199.
Yeah.
Brian White call up long overdue. Yeah, some people think that. I guess you and I, Al, are in the minority. I'm sure if I called Pete now, we'd have this big yelling match about it. Nah, we probably wouldn't. We'd laugh about it. But still, I don't think you can. You want to yell at Berhalter, go ahead. But who's been better at playing center forward this year in the MLS? Who's an American than Brian White? No one statistically has been better. Not Ferreira, not Vasquez, not anybody. He's the best center forward, American center forward, because there's plenty of foreign center forwards better than Brian White, but he statistically is the best American center forward.
White had 20 goals and 6 assists. Mind you, Duncan had 15 goals and 3 assists. It's not too shabby for his rookie season.
So I agree with Pete in the sense that he doesn't rate Duncan McGuire. He doesn't rate Brian White. That's fine. Find me somebody else to come in and take this call up who is young and played a lot of games at center forward for an MLS team this year. You can't find one. That's what I'm saying, Brett. You can't find one.
He didn't specify an alternative?
No. And that's what I'm saying. What's the alternative? If there are a bunch of fucking young center forwards out there who are rocking to his house, or at least playing lots of games, maybe not scoring lots of goals, but are young and promising, let's bring them in. Okay, but they don't exist. They don't exist. Anybody bring one up for me? Let me know. But I don't remember any under 23 center forwards that are American in MLS fucking dominating or scoring goals like Brian White and Duncan McGuire did this season. Name them, because they don't exist.
I guess looking at the Olympics, the problem with looking at the Olympics is we can also be looking abroad.
Right, we can't do that.
Yeah, so I was going to say, is like, who are we going to bring up to the Olympics? Are we going to use an overage player? But then I'm like, well, there's likely other options abroad.
Figueroa is not. He's a young guy, but he's got things to do at Liverpool right now. We do have other center forwards. We got the guy at St. Truden. We've got center forwards abroad who are young and are playing and starting and scoring goals.
Yeah, the guy that plays for Norwich Bees team, right? I already forgot his name, though.
Yeah, well, the guy that plays at St. Truden, whose name's really hard to pronounce, was scoring up lots of goals or getting lots of time and starting to score goals before he got injured. But guess what? You can't call up any of those guys from Europe. They're still playing. They're going to be playing here soon. Some of them are still playing right this weekend. So you can't call them up. And the two that he tried to call up said no. So who are you playing at center forward? Give me another person, and I will gladly listen. Quinn Sullivan? I don't think that Quinn Sullivan has had a really good season. I don't think he's one of those guys kicking ass in MLS. Sonogo is in Europe, playing for the youth squads.
Shipped back to the his Bundesliga 2 team.
His team, those teams have no requirement to allow those players to go. None.
I'm mixing up players. Never mind. He's still playing on a Bundesliga 2 team, though, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yes, I think so. And he's not exactly killing it. Jeremy Abobasi had I wouldn't call it a bad season. I think he's a fine player. Have we seen Jeremy Abobasi? We have seen a lot of Jeremy Abobasi already. Dante Seeley, he had a better season at center forward than Duncan McGuire and Brian White? No. I'm looking for young. I mean, that's the complaint, right? Neither of these guys are, well, I mean, Duncan McGuire is 22. It's not like he is under the age of 23, right?
Duncan McGuire is 22 right now, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like he's an oldie. You may not rate him, but as far as overall performance and stats, he performed better in MLS than Dante Seeley did. Just saying. He did. And you may not rate him, but I think these two guys were called in because they made some of the biggest contributions as center forwards, and they're American. And you got to go a long ways down the list to find the first American in the top scorers in MLS. Got to go down until you get to Brian White. Then you got to go down a lot longer, and then you get to Duncan McGuire. And then you got to go down a lot longer, and you start finding some other guys, like Ebobasi, etc. But there's not a whole lot to pick from, center forward-wise here. So I guess I'm just saying I'm not advocating for Brian White. I'm not shocked that he's here. And this is not really necessarily a camp where we can call in our youngsters who are center forwards that are doing well at youth squads and youth teams over in Europe. So we're kind of stuck with what we got. unless you want to play one of the Olympic kids here. You can't call up Paxton Aronson. He's in Europe. Frankfurt don't have to let him go.
Well, and that's the thing. You pretty much assume most of the European players, even youth players, probably are not going to get released to this. I know in the past we've had a couple here and there, but it's few and far between.
Right. If you're asking me if I think this is a great team, I'm going to say no, it's not. It's going to be a battle to beat Slovenia. And, Gregg's already setting it up like this is going to be a really tough game. It is because this lineup's not very good. This roster's not very good. I know that we talked about, we were hoping it would be just all U23 players.
Yeah,
right.
Let's go all out on it. Why not?
Just make it the Olympic squad minus the kids in Europe you're not allowed to call up. But I think that would have left a lot of holes in the lineup. That's for sure. But at least we got Luna, right? Yeah. I mean, he seems like a kid who's got potential. And if we went through this whole list, we could pick a couple more. 2 goalkeepers with great potential. So there's 3 players. Who else we got on here with great potential?
I don't know. Let's see.
Can we get back?
Great potential?
Potential. I don't know about great. Fullbacks? Yeah. I mean, Tolkien, Wiley.
See what happens with them, I guess.
We'll see about Harriel.
Not necessarily hold my breath, any of them, quite frankly.
I'm not either. I would just say potentials, I would say small potential. A pinch of potential for Wiley. And here, none. No potential. Except for the guys we already know about. Miles Robinson. There's no potential that any of the other 4 guys are going to make the Nats. None. Absolutely zero potential. Here, again, absolutely zero potential that any of these guys make Copa or in the future make the 2026 national team.
I mean, we're in the midfield sector at this point. We're talking about a very hard group of 6 that you're going to have to crack. And I'm not saying that these guys couldn't be contributors later on in life, but even then, questionable. Best.
Maybe after 2026.
Maybe, but even then, I mean, you're looking. Well, Moose is 21. McKinney will be 20. So Moose will be like 23, 24.
He'll be young.
McKinney's going to be like 26.
Yep.
Adams is going to be 26. Maloney's in that same range of the Musa. I think he'll be like 24, 25.
Yep.
I'm missing obvious ones here. Reyna's going to be 23.
Luca De La Torre's going to have a hard time breaking into this team for the 2026.
He'll be 27, 28 or something like that. Or 20.
You got Johnny. He's also really young. Listen, these guys are all in a world of hurt. You got Tillman. We didn't even mention Tillman, the other Tillman, right? So these 6 guys, they are in a world of hurt. They would have to suddenly, fireworks would have to shoot out of their fucking assholes. They'd have to go over to Europe, play for a top-notch team, kick ass, and usurp all the guys we just mentioned. Good luck doing that before 2026. Mm-hmm. And it ain't going to be Sean Sawatsky. I'll tell you that much. That ain't happening. It ain't going to be Atencio. Aiden Morris is a solid player, but I don't think he's going to go over to Europe and blow people's fucking dicks off. It's not happening. Jack McGlynn, there's potential there. He's young, but I don't know. He's not really been recruited overseas by other teams abroad at all. So what's going on there? Maybe they don't see anything in him. Timothy Tillman, he came here. He left Europe. I think his brother's going to be way better than him as a player, and I think his days he's at the level he should be.
Is
MLS.
Will.
Yeah.
Already is.
Already has. Yeah. Aziel Jackson, I don't know. I mean, too early to tell. I won't blow that. I won't write him off or anything like that because I just don't know enough about him.
Yeah. I mean,
but the rest of the guys,
you also have Tessman, to throw in there as well.
Yep. Tessman will be moving to Serie A next season, more than likely.
And hell, I mean, I know we don't necessarily even rate him or anything like that, but Busio is over there as well playing.
Hell, and we haven't even mentioned players that maybe have more potential than these guys here. Gutierrez as a CAM. Haven't mentioned him.
But by 2026, I still would disagree on Guti at that point.
Yeah. So there's no Heath Piercing this. All right. None of these guys. We're not going to Heath Pierce it and make up some fairy tale bullshit about some of these guys making the 2026 team because you just don't know. No, we do know. None of those guys are going to be on the 2026 team. You can write it down, put it in fucking ink, and I don't know if I'm wrong. I'll eat crow, but I've never had to eat crow, so I'm not worried about it. All right. One time I had to eat crow. And here, the only guy I really have my balls get tingly for is Diego Luna. That's about it. You got one trick pony guy whose last name's totally impronounceable, and some guy who is having a good season, but he just started. I don't know, he's 22 already. He's going to be 23 next year already. So old already in potential. So I don't know. Maybe Bernard Kamungo does, but that's tough, man.
I guess one of the players when we're talking about the midfielders, we did bring up the other Tillman, Malik, in talking, but we didn't even. Obviously, he adds to the depth of that midfield that you're looking at those players not cracking. But I know Diego's listed as a wide forward, but I really see him as an option behind Reyna, behind Tillman.
I agree.
In that role, if we continue to play the 4-2-3-1, if we go back to 4-3-3, it'll be interesting to see how Diego does in that system. Unfortunately,
yeah, unfortunately,
it'll better suit Cade Cowell. I think, quite frankly, I'm not rating him high. I'm saying he is a one-trick pony. In this list, I see by 2026, I don't think anybody's going to make it still. Although our wings are pretty wide open at this point. I mean,
right.
we lost Weah, we lost Pulisic in the last window, and we were struggling.
We didn't have to be struggling. We could have called in. We could have called in Haji Wright, who plays left wing for Coventry. We could have called in. Well, Josh Sargent was injured too. Could have called him in. But you're right. Right now, with Sargent and Wright being able to play out wide, those are your backups to Weah and Pulisic right now. Mm-hmm. Not even Aronson. So now you got to be better than Aronson, which is terribly hard to do. But could Diego Luna go over and start for or play for Union Berlin this minute? I don't know. Probably not this minute. He's got some development to do still. Yeah. He's 20 years old. So we'll see. He's also a very awkward player that a lot of coaches have a hard time figuring out what to do with. So that's a challenge for him. He's super talented in tight spaces, but, he's not super fast. He's not super physical, although he's a little terrier. I don't know. We'll see. So there you go. We've gone through the list. We've marked it out. It's almost 3 hours. I'm about to stick an ice pick in my fucking temple for going this long on this goddamn show. What am I doing? But, yeah, I knew on some of those topics that we're talking too long. I'm like, yeah, fuck this topic. Let's move on. Fuck this stupid MLS ass topic. Yeah. But anyhow, we covered everything. I don't know what we missed. So, all right. So thanks for showing up, number one. Thanks for liking, subscribing, especially watching the versus this Michigan/Washington game that's going on at the very same time. We do appreciate that you guys came out and to watch the show, regardless of the fact there's a big national championship going on. But fuck that game because it's 34-13. Michigan are killing them. There wasn't any reason to watch this game. They're getting creamed. Washington's getting creamed. All right, so make sure the next time you go on a camping trip with your best friend, don't bring your daughters. All right? That's sick. That's some sick shit. Don't do it. Yeah. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, this is Checking Out for Brett and Derek. Good night.
She's a trap, she's an unsung novel, turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty, booty! Sick, sick! Booty, booty!
Fucking deal with it.
What are we really doing? Yeah, I can agree with that.